What is going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. My name is Justin, aka No Good Comics. Welcome back to the channel. We are talking some Hawkeye tonight as part of the movie review crew. Even though it's not actually a movie, we are keeping the same crew as we talked about last week as we talked Spider-Man No Way Home. So that was a lot of fun, and we actually have a little shifting gears with one of our members. So that'll be fun to also introduce him as well. Let me just start off with some of the members here. I'll bring in my good friend, Alan. Alan, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Good. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everyone. Thanks for having me back.
Heck yeah, man. Same to you. And likewise, thanks for being back on the channel so soon. I know we didn't necessarily think we'd be back on this soon with this show, but definitely I thought it was, perfect timing with Hawkeye just been wrapping up.
Sure.
So next up, we have our good friend, Hailey. Shy Comic Girl. What's up, Hailey?
Hi, I'm excited to be back.
Yes, absolutely. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and happy holidays to everyone. Yeah,
absolutely. Hope everybody did well. I can't believe it's the end of the year already, going into 2022. Crazy. So we're talking Hawkeye, but we were going to bring on Jason. Jason unfortunately had to go help a friend do something, so maybe Jason will join us a little bit later talking about claiming comics here. But in the meantime, had to really scrape the bottom of the barrel for this guy, but luckily I was able to find our good friend JR from Team Nerd Herd. JR, brother, what's going on, man?
You're so lucky I can't cuss on this channel. Especially now that you're monetized.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Glad to be here. I don't mind being a fill-in for Jason. Big shoes to fill in, though.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you taking some time. I know we were talking a little back and forth, and I know you're a big fan of certain characters that we're going to get into here today. So I appreciate you stepping in, man. So just so everybody knows, if you're in the chat right now, or if you're watching the replay, I put everyone's information in the description below, except for JR's, but I will add that here shortly. So Team Nerd Herd, I'm sure y'all have heard of them. Before anything else, so we're talking about Hawkeye, the Disney Plus series that just wrapped up. I will give a spoiler warning. There's the first out of probably many. Spoiler warning, we will be ruining this in terms of talking about the details. So if you have not seen it and you want to, now's probably the time to pause us and go watch it and then come back and hit play. But other than that, I'm going to say a quick hello to the chat, and then we'll get into some of the fun and the details. By the way, I don't know if you guys have anything to drink, but I'm drinking tonight a little Makers. And this, by the way, I was gonna share, because last time we all had like some sort of bottle or something near me. So I brought this out and brought it downstairs with me.
Is that the bottle I think it is?
It's the Maker's Mark that I got from Copy 801, who works at a liquor store up north. So, and it's a private selection, so it's not just your average Maker's Mark. So it's really good. I really enjoy it. So thank you. Shout out to Copy 801. This is not sponsored by any alcohol beverages, but just wanted to share. Alan, I know you had something good.
I brought something. I definitely brought something specific for this show itself. So this one is a very old Barton. So old man Hawkeye type of drink here. So I'm fortunately at my sister's place right now, and she so kindly let me partake in some of her old man Barton. So cheers all.
That's nice. That is so perfect. So perfect. Yes. Anyone else with bottles, or we're good to go?
No bottle service here.
I had a whole bottle of wine, and so I think I'm going to take it. Be a little bit more relaxed this time.
That's right. Hold back a little. Yeah, I hear you. All right, cool. So let's say a quick load of the chat, and then we'll jump into the topic here. So we have my man Phil, who is hilarious and just had me crack up right off the bat. He goes, sweet, made it just in time for the good seats. And then, of course, our good friend John Stout had followed up and said, can I sit with you, Phil? I won't be too handsy.
Too handsy.
And Phil gives the okay there. He goes, nice of Justin to stock the snack counter, steak and lobsters going all out. In which I replied here, come on in, everybody, take a seat wherever. Restrooms are towards the back left behind the bar. And yes, Phil, enjoy the steak and lobsters. Just caught it early on my yacht on my way to the show. And yes, the steak was also included. It was in the ocean. So we got all that. So, and it just goes on and on. So if you guys get a chance, read all that. It's really fun stuff. And JR hanging out, doing double duty here tonight as well. We have our good friend Gore Vidal hanging out. Good to see you again, Gore. It says I haven't seen the show, but I know it's probably better than I dare not say its name. Evening panel. He is referring to Saga, as he does always, shooting shots fired at Saga. But good to see you, Gore. Thanks for swinging by. He says you can sit with us. I won't tell JR. So great. Yeah, there's a lot of shenanigans going on in the chat. So it's really good stuff. All right, so scrolling through here real quick, I also saw James Phelps, who also said, no problem, we got your back, man. I really appreciate you, James. Thank you all for your patience and hanging out with us as we jumped on here. I have our good friend Candace hanging out with us as well. Happy holidays to you, Candace. Hope you're doing well also. We were just going back and forth talking about some Sandman, Candace and I, amongst other things. She's reading a lot of great stuff too, like Claws. And we were talking about that Barnes & Noble deal that just happened recently. I know
Yeah.
some of you have hit that up too. So yeah,
I tried not to.
Yeah. Did you go though?
I didn't do it because it'll hold the kill the wallet.
Dude, I legitimately felt like buying the entire story. Like I was trying to find reasons why I should get into reading novels. Like I was like, ooh, like what novel should I buy? I don't even like. And Haley, I probably should have reached out to you. It's probably good that I didn't reach out to you. Yeah, because I
given you like 5 books.
Yeah, I was looking for like excuses. I'm like, it's like free. I was like, this stuff's like free. I should just buy this stuff.
Yeah, I can tell you a couple Star Wars novels to pick up too.
There was a lot of good stuff. The cover collector in the house saying, howdy y'all, good to see you. We have our good friend Brother Joe, Station Brother Joe. Thanks for stopping by. We have our good friend Sean, aka Slim Comics and More.
Hey, Sean.
Thanks for swinging by, Sean. We also have our good friend Lucy in the house, Mama Comics. She says she's stopping by. Good to see you, Lucy. Hope your holiday was well. Everybody here in the chat. And again, anybody watching this replay right now, thanks so much for taking the time to do so. We have 14 people hanging out with us right now. So thank you all. Again, spoilers are going to be had here about Hawkeye, the Disney Plus show starting now. So yeah, heads up. All right. So let's just, again, this is like a free for all. I don't really, I never have like an agenda for this, which I really like, by the way. And I also want to take the time to say that Haley and Alan and Jason, if you catch this later, like last time was so much fun in terms of just the casualness, the conversation, and the silliness that went on throughout. So hopefully we can replicate that here again, even though we have Grumpy JR with us.
I was gonna say, blame it on me if it's screwed up. I'm used to it.
He says I'm used to it. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Candace says it's dangerous, Justin. I collect both comics and novels and manga. Yeah, there was a lot of manga too that I saw as well.
Have the room.
Yeah, it's definitely can hurt the wallet. Okay, so let's start off with kind of our general thoughts, and I'm going to start it off with JR since you are new here, JR, to this particular stream. What are your general thoughts of Hawkeye as a whole? Before we get into like a lot of the details, what did you think? Did you enjoy it? And also, how would you kind of grade this if you had to grade it on like a CGC rating scale?
So I had originally read the run when it came out years ago, the source material.
Okay.
I love the source material. It was amazing. It took a character that with Hawkeye, Clint Barton Hawkeye, that was kind of known. He's not a bad character, but no one really cared about him, and elevated him, made him likable, which is what everyone loves about Fraction. I thought with the show, by them putting Hailey in there, I was a little worried at first. I like Hailey.
Not that Hailey.
Yeah, I like Hailey in general as a character. I just wasn't sure how they were going to mesh it together, if it's going to be unbalanced or what. If it's going to be a grumpy old man and little kid, which kind of was. But I enjoyed it overall. I thought they did a really good job, and not going to spoil anything, but once it came to episode 5, I switched the name of the show as far as I was concerned.
Right.
Not being a certain person's show. So
Sure.
But I give the show in general probably like an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed Loki a little more.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a fair grade for sure, and well said on the thoughts there. I have not read any of the source material, so I was definitely going into this, in a much more blind way. But before I share mine, I'll pass it over to you, Haley. Haley, what were your initial thoughts on this, and how would you grade it?
Yeah, so I went in with pretty low expectations. Like, I didn't really care for Hawkeye, or like JR was saying, he just wasn't like a character that a lot of people maybe gravitated towards. And I read the Fraction run, and Fraction did a really great job. I still didn't like love the Hawkeye Fraction run as much as I was hoping to. So I went in still with like very like middle of the road expectations. And I would say that the later half of the series just like really blew me away. And in terms of how it closed, I probably went from like a 6 or a 7 to like a 8.5, maybe 9.
All the way to the end.
Yeah. I think they did such a good job. Again, towards the end, for me, it just felt like I wasn't loving it as much as the other shows in the kind of build up.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Alan, what about you, my friend? What were your initial thoughts, and how would you grade this?
So let me preface this though. I'm a little bit biased. So my name actually comes from Hawkeye. I don't know if many people know this, or I think I brought this up with you, Justin and Hailey, before. So my mom watched MASH, the old TV show, and there was a character in there. His name is Alan Alda, and his nickname was Hawkeye on the show. And my name, I was named after Alan Alda. So I kind of have a little bit of bias towards him. So, but I too felt that this show was, I don't know if Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye, could carry the show on his own. So that's why I was kind of glad they brought in Hailey. And I did start to like her a little bit more, because I'll bring up some thoughts later on Jeremy Renner and how he's bringing up Hawkeye. But I thought it was better than I expected it to be. But honestly, I feel like it basically extended a bunch of other Marvel characters' storylines, bringing in new people, finishing other people's, and like kind of lifting up people like Yelena and so on and so forth. But I think it was probably an 8.5 is a good spot to be. And I want to ask you guys this at the end, but for the ones that have watched all the Disney shows that have Marvel, now this changed the order in which I kind of like those shows. So that'll be interesting to hear from you guys at the end.
Ooh, yeah, I like that idea. We definitely can kind of discuss a little bit of a ranking there. Well said on all parts. And I think that ultimately, I kind of echo, Hailey, what you had said from like the start was certainly a bit slower overall. And I actually, well, from what Alan and Hailey, what you guys know from me from last episode was after the third episode, I stopped, and I was like, not that I like didn't want to watch anymore, but it was like, well, one, I know like work and stuff was busy, but like to me, it was just like, I'll get around to it when I get around to it, or I'll binge it as it all like finishes out. And so when I mentioned that, you guys were like, what? No, you didn't like, you're not all caught up to speed right now or whatever. So that was kind of where I stood though, because the first 3 episodes were a bit more of a slower overall setup. And obviously we didn't get like some of the juice until, the 4th episode. And then Hailey, as you mentioned, like the rest just kept like hitting until we get all these other characters and all this other stuff happen. To me, episodes 4, 5, 6 was much more of a Disney film, and compared up to like what I'm used to with what I feel like Marvel gives us. And not to take anything away overall though, like I get that you need to set things up, like that just needs to happen. I mean, kind of similar to like WandaVision, like that they used first 3 episodes just to show a different perspective altogether. So, I can't, I don't knock them for it. Like it work, it works overall. It just, to me, it was just a little slow in the beginning. And I think that's what kind of like made it fall to the wayside for me at first. And obviously once I watched episode 4, I just couldn't stop watching from that point on. So I literally watched the whole thing as it dropped as the finale dropped, which was like perfect. So, I really loved those last 3 episodes, and because of that, and I actually watched it twice, I should say. I watched it twice. I had my girlfriend watch it with me on a second time around. We actually watched it Christmas Eve morning. We actually watched it because we had some time. So we caught up on that. She had seen like the first 2 episodes, and I was like, you just got to watch the rest. It gets like crazy, because even she was kind of checked out. Like it's okay, and she likes a lot of the Marvel stuff, but she's not like a fan. So that to me was a way of like convincing, like just wait till like 4 comes and 5 and 6, like it all gets crazy. So overall, I think like an 8.5 is certainly a very fair grade, and I think that's probably kind of where I'd fall under as well. I mean, there's definitely moments where I'd even put it higher overall, but so I'll keep mine at like an 8.5. Before we go on, I want to say a quick hello to a couple people in the chat. I saw my man Nick from Nick's Kicks and Comics with us. What's going on, Nick? We had 62 Lefty Blues with us as well. Also, my man Verno from the Cerebros with us, and my good friend Circumstances hanging out in the chat as well. And let me just scroll back through here in case I missed anybody else. My man Alonzo in the chat as well, representing the Team Nerd Herd podcast. Good to see you, Alonzo. And let's see, just going through real quick. Candace here said, I'm pretty aligned with you guys. Compared to Loki and Wanda, I enjoyed those more, but Hawkeye was better than I thought. I like Jeremy and Hailey's dynamic. Yeah, I'm with you. So I think, and this, I don't want to go down this hole, but like I like this more than Loki. I actually liked.
Wow.
I think I don't know. Loki was a little more in the middle for me out of all the shows, and I know we'll get into like ranking a little later as you mentioned. But yeah, it's kind of where I stand with that. But definitely love WandaVision. So just going off of what Candace had listed here. Hey, our friend Chaos and Comics also hanging out with us. What's going on? He says Hawkeye was wonderful, but I'm easily pleased. Yeah. So that's the other thing I should clarify for myself. Is I think I'm easily pleased for a lot of this stuff. So even like bad things are like, really good for me. So
I can agree with that.
like me giving this an 8.5, I was like even leaning close to a 9 with this, particular.
And let's say you rewatched it twice. Which of the series have you watched twice?
Ooh, that's a good point. WandaVision I watched twice, and
okay. Never mind, that worked against me. I thought this was going to be the only one you watched twice.
No, that was. Go ahead, Jack.
I'm just curious because like we all knew like Yelena was going to show up and other people, I won't name other people, but is it because none of those people showed up until like 4, 5, and 6? Do you think maybe that's why a lot of us, because we're all expecting when is Yelena's going to show up, when is so-and-so going to show up, when is Echo showing up, that maybe we kind of went, oh, this is kind of boring until we got some animosity going, I guess, other than the tracksuit mafia?
Well, I would kind of, for me, probably yes. I mean, there wasn't people I was waiting for necessarily. Like I didn't think too hard about, like I didn't necessarily know we were going to get Yelena in the show. I just I wasn't watching out for any of the kind of like speculation around it. And I'm sure they've actually probably announced it. I just didn't even.
Well, I figured the end credit scene, wasn't it for... What was Yelena for Black Widow?
Oh yeah.
That she was going to show up, she was going after Hawkeye.
So that totally left my mind. So the moment that like she was there, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, what? But I will say, like, any scene that she was in, I felt like she stole the show. Like I thought Florence Pugh's acting was phenomenal, and there was just like a lot more emotional moments with her character that drove like some of the like the tension and the emotional beats in the story for me. Obviously Clinton's like dealing with like the loss of Natasha throughout, but I felt like those were some of the strongest parts of the show for me. I loved her character. Like I like her character more than anyone else in the show at this point. Like I was like, just give me more Yelena, but it was Hawkeye.
I think we're gonna get a lot of Yelena coming.
I hope so.
I hope.
She could definitely carry scenes on her own, which is very different than I could see Jeremy like kind of carrying scenes, but I feel like I actually like the interaction between Hailey and Yelena versus the interactions between Hailey and Old Man Hawkeye, essentially. Their quips together, like were fun. We're just fun, right? It was just awesome.
Going back to JR, what you had like asked, like kind of like, well, so I, like Hailey said, I didn't know what to expect either in terms of who was necessarily going to show up here potentially, but I just remember thinking like, getting the tracksuit guys and like just the scene of like Hailey and Clint on the little pony, riding the pony thing that they're tied up on and stuff. Like, I don't know, like I know that was like complete filler and just not like anything relevant to like the main story, but like I just remember like really focusing in that moment and just being like where are we going here? Or, like, what's like, are we at? Like, it felt like very corny, which I mean, they're meant to be corny, but I was just like, I I'm assuming there's going to be a much bigger threat here, and much, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the name Trust the Bros. I think is a great company name. I kept pointing that out, but yeah, like those guys were obviously like silly in that sense. So I don't know. And then otherwise, yeah, just a lot of it was still just like kind of set up. So, but yeah, to what you said, like I wasn't expecting Yelena to come at all. So, or I just didn't put two and two together at the time I was watching this. So, it was, I guess, in a way, even a nicer surprise. Not even be expecting that. By the way, sorry, people. There was that one individual in the chat again where I needed mods for. So I just blocked that person. Guys, give me a heads up if you see anything. Feel free. I don't know where I need to add more mods. I need to do that. Candace brings up a good point here. She says, I also think that the show was Christmas themed. That made it more fun, and the ambience and the music. Christmas in New York City is definitely a mood I love. Yeah, I agree 100%. Definitely loved the Christmas themes and just the light, having the lights in the background, the different music going on. I had pictured there to be the Home Alone music when Clint and Hailey were like building all the different arrows, and just,
that was cool.
Right? Yeah. Like I could picture that scene of like Kevin, setting up the traps, and just that kind of background music. So that's what that kind of reminded me of. Chaos says, I'm just sitting here waiting for Mephisto to show up. Yeah. We shall continue to wait. Yeah, right. So definitely, my thoughts there. Sorry, I was trying to catch up on, there were some other great parts of the chat here talking about Yelena. So my favorite part too, with like, we'll just kind of jump into a lot of this, but Yelena was, or the part I loved the most was when they were fighting in the offices, was it the last episode? And just the back and forth with her and Hailey, and just, like they like were not enemies, and they weren't, they were just trying to like be friendly and stop each other. It almost reminded me of when Clint and Black Widow first fought in Civil War, where they were on opposite sides, but they were like clearly, friends, and they were like, are we still friends? Like as they're like fighting and stuff like that. So I just thought that was kind of nice.
Yeah, just pulling their punches and stuff. Yeah.
So we could take this anywhere. So if you guys want to just kind of shout out some moments that you really liked, or a character that really stood out to you, anybody can chime in.
One thing I was gonna say, Candace brought up about the mac and cheese scene.
Yes.
Where she's like, "You want some mac and cheese? Isn't it good?" And it's like, "No, that's box stuff." Like, what'd she put on it? Like ketchup or
sriracha?
Sriracha.
Yeah.
And
she's like, "Are you done?"
Yeah, no.
What's up, Travis?
I love that. It was so much fun. Or she's like making, continuously telling Kate that she's just so funny, and you just like know what she's capable of, and like how relaxed she is. Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, if I wanted to kill you," she's like, "Yeah, you would have killed me."
Just calling her Kate Bishop the whole time too.
Yeah.
Just Kate. It's like Kate Bishop.
Which I really like. Like from a marketing standpoint, it really gets it in the audience's head. So for anyone who like, they're really trying to make sure that people know who these characters are moving forward, and obviously they have big plans for them. So for any like casual viewer who might not really know who the character is, that's a great way that they, to kind of tie that in. By the way, I didn't realize I got a super chat here from TM, my friend Travis. Appreciate you, Trav, for the $1 super chat. I'm going to throw this up here. Here you go. Thanks, Trav. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the super chat. So yeah, hey, we got my friend JT in the house as well. What's going on, JT? Thanks for swinging by. Yeah, the mods. I need to add more. Maybe I'll do that as we're continuing this discussion here. Sorry, I'm like really behind on the chat here. Kenneth Bird hanging out with us as well. What's going on, Kenneth? And my friend Kevin, Entropy in Comics, also swing by. Good to see you, Kevin. Candace says that she loved the trick arrows. I haven't read any Hawkeye. Is that a thing in the comics? JR,
yes.
Yeah, it's one of his things in the comics.
Yeah.
Especially like the Pym particle arrow and all those different arrows.
Yeah,
I also
cool.
like the fact we got like some other people that didn't even get like spotlighted. Like Swordsman shows up and as the father-in-law or the future father-in-law, I guess. But I mean, unless you knew it, you didn't really know it.
Yeah, the red hair.
Yeah. But I mean, at least they kept him good guy, at least.
Did you like that? Like, what do you think of his character? Because I felt like how he was put at the beginning of the show versus where you end with him is there's like such a stark difference. And even I feel like how he acts, that like by the end of it, I felt he was a little like airheady. And we were giving him so much credit at the beginning of this season. You're like, wow, this mastermind, and then you're like, no, oh my god.
No.
I think it's just his ego, because that's how he was in the comics. He's very egotistical and stuff, and I think it's just he puts on this aura of, oh, I'm the best. I know everything, and in actuality, he doesn't. He's not the brightest guy in the world.
Right.
But he's got a heart, and that's what made him Avenger. I mean, that's why I think it was Mantis that ends up with him and has a kid with him in the books. So, I mean, I could see him coming back because we got Guardians with Mantis. So.
Oh my gosh! Sorry, I
didn't think of that either.
Also, just to kind of go off in another channel, you've got Black Knight's going to show up at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another swordsman to go with them. So I mean, I could see them doing some epic fight scene with those two.
Oh, that would be really awesome. Cool.
Yeah, good point there. The thing with like Jack was a really interesting character in that he I like where you started to see Hailey, or he started to win Hailey over towards the what was it, like the 4th or 5th episode where they're like dancing. He's dancing with his mom and stuff like that, and she's kind of seeing this like. Or I guess she's just like realizing like, okay, maybe he really is just like, this is just who he is. And he is like that cheese ball, corny, full of himself, clearly, which I will say, I know people like that, that are very much have that type of ego. And yeah, at the end of the day, like they mean well, and, but like, he just, he came off very sleazy, obviously. And did, I think what as the writing wanted you to think of him being, it's all being his fault initially, and him being this bad guy. And like, even when they're like, when he does the parry when they're, practicing their sword fighting and stuff like that, like, little things that kind of pointed that way to make you think that he was the main villain or whatever. So I think they did a good job with that.
Definitely. Yeah. When he was like hiding his skills at the beginning, and I guess he is that kind of sleazy guy I just couldn't stop staring at his mustaches, like super wide.
But that's what it is in the comics.
Yeah.
I know, it was so over the top. I love it. But yeah, that really threw. Hailey brought up a good point. It really threw me off. Right, I thought completely one way in the beginning, and then just throughout, just like completely switched at the end. And he's kind of one of those guys that if he's there enough, like he kind of just grows on you, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep. By the way, I think Jason is in the back, but I don't see him. But I'm going to bring him on here and see if he's actually with us. Jason, are you there?
Whoa!
Hey, there he is.
I was opening my beer. My fault.
your screen was up. I didn't know if you were ready or not. But
yeah, I mean, I didn't know when you were gonna pull me in either. I didn't know if you saw my message, so like I just let it rock.
Oh no, I didn't see it.
So we got a party here. How you doing, JR?
Cheers, bud.
What's up, sir?
All right, so I can get rid of JR now, right? That Jason's here.
You.
Just kidding, JR.
Hey, I'm used to being the villain, so it's all good. I'm the villain on my own channel.
No, I feel like JR is just gonna skill us on some Kingpin knowledge, though. I'm excited.
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm here for.
Well, that's my boy. Right. So.
Yep.
So how did you guys get into?
Just our overall thoughts, and we just started talking about just some of the parts with like Yelena and Jack, but not a lot of details. So like, you can kind of jump in wherever. We kind of all just kind of shared our thoughts, which we all gave it a really low grade. So
some of us thought that it was better than Loki kidding. Too.
Yes, yeah. I said
I'm not naming any
names. Really? I'm genuinely.
We all really like this show. I mean, we all give it like eights.
Justin did say that he liked it better than Loki, though.
I like this better than Loki. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah, apparently the rest of the panel either. But
No,
Ravens fan.
if you really like Christmas too, you know, it makes sense. You know what I mean?
You know how I feel about Christmas, Jason.
That's what I'm saying. No, like when I went hunting with this, I'm sorry to go off on a tangent, but I'm hunting with this guy, and then he like pulls this Spider-Man issue out. The cover had the lizard on it, and it wasn't even Christmas themed. It was just snow. It was snowing like on like on the sides, and it's like, dude, like I could post this in Christmas, and it's a dope ass cover. I was like, go for it, bro. You know?
There was a Christmas tree in the background. There was a Christmas tree in the background.
Okay. I thought it was just snowing, but
yeah,
I could see you liking it better.
It was on sale. I couldn't pass it up. That's what we really talked about. We talked about the Barnes and Noble sale for a little bit.
That is true.
So, Jason, what are your thoughts on this
End grade? Yeah,
end grade. Yeah.
In the beginning, I mean, like, see, I'm never a type of person because these fans. I had this conversation with Jay at Barnes and Nobles, man. Like, I understand everyone's entitled to their own opinion, right? Like, you can like something, you can not like something, like it's all subjective, but like I feel like the people that take it so freaking serious, like this wasn't there, like this building was, like just like the most minuscule stuff, and it's like they're always complaining. It's like, how about you just enjoy the show, or just enjoy the movie, right?
Yeah.
So I'm someone like that. So I went in with like no expectations. Like I figured like I had this conversation with Jay earlier. Like this show, like if I like it, that's a bonus, but it's not geared towards me. It's not geared towards my generation per se. You know what I mean? Like it's more geared towards the a little younger generations that know more of Kate Bishop or something like that, right? That they could relate to the character. So I had very low expectations, but it was great. It was fire. I mean, the first two were a little slow, and I've heard that from everyone. So like that's valid. That's a valid criticism. But like as you watch the show, and again, like I knew of certain cameos and like upcoming stuff. Like I was waiting, obviously, but like I was never bored after the second episode. I guess like I was never like waiting, like, oh, I gotta watch this as early as possible. I was never like that. Yeah. But I loved every episode. Like after. Like it just progressively got better. Mm-hmm. So like I enjoyed it, and I would give it a solid like 8.5 just because of certain people in that were because like as far as like the show itself, like Hawkeye, the two of them, right? I would give it an 8, but like because of extra stuff, I give it a extra 0.5.
So you felt it was the Kate Bishop show more than it was the Clint Barton show?
Oh no! I mean, if I just like held off on like the whole thing, but I mean, I loved Jeremy Renner's like it felt like his comeback in a sense, or actually he had never had a place to come back from. I guess like you know what I mean? Like no one really gave a crap about him in the books or the movies really. Like I respect the dude. He's a good actor. I like him, and I like him even more now. So he really like made himself more present and notable. So like I give him as much credit as I give Hailey Steinfeld.
My comic shop owner is a huge Hawkeye fan.
I give you credit, Hailey.
Thank you.
What did you say, JR?
My comic shop owner is a huge Hawkeye fan. I don't understand it, but he's.
I mean, no, to each his own.
40, 50 years,
he's like the character.
Yeah. He's got original art and everything.
In the general scope, I know it's not the most popular character at all. You know what I mean? So I thought it was a great job overall. Great job.
I mean, this is definitely going to be something where even the not so big fan is going to certainly know and remember that name, which they did with like Iron Man, like right out of the gate. So I like that. It's a good sign to see that Marvel's like obviously continuing. I mean, it's been 10 years now, but like they're not afraid to just like take characters that they know are not like fan favorites per se or known by people that are outside of the fandom of comics. They're not afraid to just take them and still put them out there and make them be something, and obviously credit to the actors and actresses who do these parts, which obviously play a big role as well. Art Chemist says Hawkeye was cool. I love the development between the three with Kate and Hawkeye, but the relationship between Yelena between Yelena was hilarious. Yeah, agreed, for sure. So yeah, we were talking about, Jason, we mentioned like the offices scene when Yelena was fighting Hailey, kind of towards the end there. Yeah. Then we were talking about Jack for a little bit, and then the other thing I was going to mention was with Jack was I like at the end when like they potentially try to recruit him in the LARPing. That was
amazing.
Yeah.
Is that something you do for leisure?
Yeah. So good. So my old roommate used to do LARPing. Like they had like a group that they went outside and did with. And I never,
amazing.
Yeah, like I didn't know what it was until I like learned that, in the college days. And I remember watching once, and they legit like hit them like it actually is not really? Like, yeah, they swing hard. Like the things that they create are like heavy, like rubber and heavy, like, I don't know what, like foam, but like with like heavy weight behind it. Yeah. So you get hit in the stomach or something, like you'll still get the wind knocked out of you, and they really like swing hard. So I was like, wow, it's kind of like legit. So I kind of liked that they kind of tied. Yeah, like I like that they tied the whole thing in, and like how bringing in some of the LARPers as like being kind of some side characters, and like like even the beginning where he's like, can I just let me kill you here, man? Like this would be such a big deal. And it's so true. Like for something like that, like it probably is a really big deal, to like, especially him being Hawkeye and all, being part of the Avengers. But anyways, that's something that stood out to me.
I love
that. Those parts too. I definitely enjoyed those extra characters that helped. Yeah, they had a big part in the end, right? They helped people. They became heroes. It's a win-win for everyone.
They're basically Avengers, is what the one guy
said. I didn't think they were going to drag that storyline out. Like when he first goes to LARPing, I was like, "This is such a ridiculous scene." Like it had have been so fun to film, but like when it first happened, I was like, "What?" Like, all right, like we got that. That's fine. But the fact that they were reoccurring characters felt like it felt like it paid off essentially.
Yeah, I'm glad they pulled out and kept that going, because I think if they would have.
But that's something I could definitely see people nitpicking about. It's like, how would they have, like, like really, like when like the sniper Kazi starts shooting in that party, and like that scene where like that all begins. I could see people complaining. It's like, well, how about like this doesn't work with this, and like
why didn't he just shoot the other people?
Talking to Jason? Like,
no, I just mean in general, people love to complain about everything, and they can't just enjoy, and criticize a little to themselves in their head and just be like, all right, like that wasn't cool. Right?
The only complaint I would have is I felt and I loved Yelena, but because of her, Echo kind of got downplayed.
Oh,
like Echo was supposed to be the villain of it.
Yep.
And no one really understood that. I mean, we all knew she was deaf, but no one realized that she has more power and stuff in her, and she's kind of like Daredevil. Maybe they're going to explore that in the Echo show, and maybe that's why they're just kind of giving us a tease. But I kind of wish they would have let her blossom a little more, so people are excited for the show.
Man. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah,
because if you read the books, like you definitely expect a little more, from her part, screen time and stuff.
I feel like they almost like lost her a little bit in the show. Like you would get scenes with her, but it felt like it was the same kind of like anger and frustration and her trying to figure something out and fight. But there wasn't, besides like the flashback scenes, I felt like I wasn't seeing more of Echo in a way that felt rewarding as a viewer to watch. Like I was like, all right, like the same old thing, kind of like, she's fighting someone, she's looking for Ronan, she's getting frustrated. Like I wanted more from her, or more from like the writers for her, because I think she did a phenomenal job, like acting.
Yeah. So one of the things too that like I wish we saw more of there, to your point, Hailey, is seeing the flashbacks of her as a little girl. I thought that we actually were going to get more of that through. I mean, we didn't get into like the third episode, I think. But even that, like, I just thought it was going to be little flashbacks that were going to continue to show parts of how she really became who she was. And not just like the one or two moments, but like little things that really defined her skills. And like even in the beginning, like they did do the one where like the martial arts school that she goes to. And, you see her watching the one you know,
they
the
give
big
you a
kid
little
like
bit of that.
beat
They give
people
you a
up.
tiny
And
bit.
she knows to like look for the leg and everything and not get swept by the leg, and that worked for her. And like, so that was cool. And I just thought maybe they'd even show something, I don't know, even a little older or something like that. Again, just to show another lesson or something.
I wanted to see her because they took so much as far as like the relationship with her and someone we'll get to, I guess. And like comic what's it called? Accuracy, or like taken straight from the books into the show. I really appreciated that, but what I really wanted was like a scene of her, like you said, maybe a little older, watching boxing videos of matches of like famous fights, because in the books that's what she does. Like she'll watch, like she can mimic anything she sees, right? That's her like quote unquote power in a sense.
Right.
So she watches like Mike Tyson go a few rounds, she could do the exact same thing Mike Tyson can, just within her power level, I guess, within how hard she can punch. So it says in the books even like I'll specifically watch lightweights instead of heavyweights because I know like my body's strength. So
she moves quicker.
Yeah,
like
you know, so I'll copy a lightweight, so it's the same power set I have. And like I wish they gave us that, like just her watching a boxing match and like or anything, right? And and just copying it. You know what I mean? Like that's what I want.
Also, it felt like the payoff at the end when she shoots the gun at a certain person. To me, it fell flat because you don't have any vested interest in her really at that time.
Yeah, it was a little. Yeah,
and it was mimicked to the books. I'm sure they're going to go into more detail in her own show. But it just kind of, like I said, I feel like because of Yelena and her, they were kind of fighting for the spotlight, and it just kind of hurt her.
Yeah.
Agreed. By the way, we've gone 41 minutes without mentioning his name, which I think we're okay to say this now.
Yeah. I was like, are we not supposed?
So yeah, we're all obviously referencing Kingpin. And one thing too, I wanted to mention with the scene that I was talking about, where the flashback scene. I don't know if you guys noticed this. I didn't pick it up till the second time around. Now that I knew that Kingpin it showed up at the end, was when she does do the martial arts thing, or right before she goes into the fight. Her father gets on one knee and just says like, you know, hey, I got to go, you know, do some work or whatever. But you know, be strong, whatever advice he gives her at the end. And then
stay here.
And then stay here. And then we have to go. So he goes to leave. You see just a big shadow and just like a black suit stand next to him or move into the picture basically. And you just see his hand go and squeeze her cheek. So I didn't catch that the first time around.
That either.
Yeah, the first time I didn't catch it. I rewatched the episode and I was like,
I know, me and Joe.
I'm like, that's him.
Oh no, I was going bonkers as soon as I saw that. And I was just like, is that because he says, like, he calls her niece, like he speaks, I think, in that scene too. And like he says, like, I'm your uncle or something.
There is a reference of like uncle or something like that. Yeah.
He says like, I'm your uncle or something like that. And I was like, is that D'Onofrio?
Yeah,
because we didn't know for sure if it was D'Onofrio or not.
So that's why that the scene when they actually first, like, you see both people on the screen together, and that parental type of figure, that was a little jarring for me because I didn't see the shadow thing. Because if I saw that before, that would have probably added some backstory that I kind of missed out on.
Oh yeah.
So
let me ask you guys though, on this panel, has everyone, at least season 1, has anyone watched Daredevil, the Netflix show, season 1? Everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I
think I watched it, but so long ago that I cannot remember anything
except
for the fact I know.
One scene, like, I know all of you was, maybe not Hailey because, you know, maybe she can't remember, but I know all of you was thinking the same thing I was thinking when my man took off the car door with Eleanor in the car. And we know that one scene that he was in with the car in the Netflix show that was...
They upped his powers.
They definitely upped his powers, but like I'm saying, like, there was what's it called? It didn't give me that. I wasn't disappointed, obviously, because it's Disney. You know, they can't do what Netflix can do. I can't expect that, but definitely, like, watching, I was like, damn, like, but like I've seen him do some crazy shit. You know what I mean? Like, like, even though he was like kind of like superhuman in this, like, it wasn't obviously as graphic and violent, right, as Netflix can be.
Right.
And I recently like watched that episode not too long ago. I was like, damn, this is pretty effed up, you know? Like,
it's really gritty in Daredevil. Yeah.
Yep.
I need to go back and rewatch
You should.
now.
I will say they, because I read an article about it, because I was thinking about it too. They actually depowered him in Daredevil to make him a little not as strong. Because like the fact that he took an arrow to the chest and went.
That's what I was gonna say too.
It just kind of went, and the trick arrows blowing up on him.
I'm saying
that's more relevant.
A bomb blew up in front of him.
You know? So he does not have any superpowers. Like he's just a strong dude, right?
So basically, from a young age, he realized that he was going to have to use muscle to get what he wanted in life early on, until he can become smart, or until he can get in position of power and then use his brains. So he's just always been like the top of the physical. Like he's like he would be considered like a one of those guys that pick up the tree stump, the logs, and just tosses them and that type of stuff. That's the type of stuff he would do.
Throw a bomb in front of that same person, they're gonna die.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. He would have been in a million pieces. But I watched that and I was like, "Excuse me, sir."
They have to make him a little more than what he is in the comics.
Of course. Yeah. They got to make it, exciting, right?
Yeah. Plus, I mean, I think they're going to do what they did with Thanos with him, kind of, but for the grounded level people, characters,
right?
Yeah, street level Thanos.
Because it's Kingpin, you're not going to get rid of him the next season of Echo or whatever.
No.
He's going to be around for a long time.
Yeah,
his contract, must be, like all these appearances and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm just
glad
he
was perfectly cast.
Yeah, I'm just glad they didn't give him the big body suit.
Did he not?
He got a little bit bigger.
A little bigger.
But like there was rumors that he, like, if you watch the cartoon Into the Spider-Verse, where he's got the real small head and the huge body.
Yeah.
There was rumors that they were going to try and mimic that.
Oh.
And give like this big body suit.
Like super wide.
Yeah,
think,
super.
He could be a big guy, but just don't make it like not human.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They could also film it.
Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, I would say they could also film it a certain way to make him look bigger.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's what I felt like they kind of did in Hawkeye. Like when you see him, I'm like, he's so large,
towering. Yeah, like they do low shots, and which makes sense.
But in Daredevil, he's like fit. He's like skinny, kind of. He's like,
in Daredevil, he's
like big, but like his stomach is like flat almost.
Right.
He's even crazier.
So I know that it's like early in terms of like us seeing Kingpin in this universe, essentially. But I still like was hoping to get a little bit more of a fight scene with him. I mean, he just shoved Hailey multiple times, which I mean, I can see that. I know they're going to try to keep it like, PG or whatever, like enough to where it's like appropriate for younger audiences as well. So I understand. And as to your points with like Netflix being able to do more with that, but I still was just like, I don't know, just wanted a little something extra. I thought he was going to have a moment where he actually fought Clint or, I don't know, or I don't know. I mean, he does get really far. I guess
who do you want? Who should he fight in his first fight on Disney? They're going to put him against Daredevil at some point.
Well, yeah, I was going to say,
and they're going to bring Daredevil probably in Echo.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can see him.
I mean, in the books,
they want that first moment between those two, huh?
Didn't those two date in the books?
Echo and Daredevil.
I mean, I don't think they're gonna write it like that, like the same. But didn't they date in the books, JR?
Sort of.
Something like that.
Daredevil's a hoe. Let's just put it that way. He gets around.
Yeah, no, of course. The books.
I mean, he's been with Natasha.
He gets around, but didn't they have like a little thing or something like that?
They had a little thing, but it's because they both they rely on their senses and stuff, and he was kind of her sensei for a little while. So that's kind of why.
I just wonder how much source material they're gonna pull as far as their relationship goes, like not romantic relationship, but just in general. You know what I mean?
We'll see. I mean, I have a feeling we're gonna get a lot. I think Echo is gonna be a lot of Kingpin as her uncle, building up. I think. I think we're gonna get a lot of background in that sense, and maybe like some
we'll probably get all that
she's
stuff.
Going.
We complained about in her show, realistically, like her like watching TV and like just showing her powers and like what she can do and like
and we'll probably get that final scene where she shoots a gun and kills him.
You think they're gonna blind him like the books, or you think they're gonna say something else happened?
I think they'll either blind or deafen him. One of the two.
How do you get blind point blank and like. In the books, doesn't she have like a Desert Eagle too? It's like a big.
He survived a bomb, Jason.
Yeah, but I'm talking.
But it doesn't make any sense. I just am so like I don't give like any movie magic you're throwing my way.
Like a crazy like gun too, like a Desert Eagle, like a giant gun, and like
so
I'm thinking to myself.
I was thinking something that's possible is especially the way they filmed it and the camera going off.
The pan away.
Yeah, clearly like something could have happened where someone, took out Echo.
Hornhead.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Like, or
curious to
deflect the gun, and he doesn't get shot at all. I could see him walking away.
Maybe she shoots past him. Like she's like not going to, I don't know.
Like something
I kind of liked when he was blind.
You did?
There are some beautiful covers of him when he was blind and stuff, but
there is a couple covers. I know you're talking.
What's going on, guy?
I have the craziest like wrong theory. Like I just know it's not going to happen. It's not part of like anything. But I was just because again, this movie magic was bothering me so much. I really sat and was just like, how did he survive that? Like, there's just no way you could be as strong as you want, but you're not gonna not get blown up by a freaking bot. Like that's just not gonna happen. So again, in my wrong theory. I was just thinking about in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you have the serums, and like he says that he's more powered up in this Marvel universe. And there's like I don't know, there's threads out there that like could make him more. I'm pretty sure I'm like 1,000% wrong.
Well, actually,
far fetched.
Actually, to feed off of that, I have a theory that I think he's creating the Thunderbolts with U.S. Agent. Yolanda, because he's the one that ultimately hired Yolanda to go after Hawkeye. Well, if he then hired U.S. Agent, then he possibly has
this
theory in the current books in King of Black or King of the Knoll storyline just happened.
Yeah, King of Black.
He created his own Thunderbolts team.
He did
during that,
right.
And the current Devil's Reign, they created like a Civil War initiative again, and he's got his Thunderbolts
is exactly going to happen now.
So you're talking about the new Devil's Reign that's out right now?
Yeah. Sorry, spoilers.
No, but I'm saying like you're saying that you're saying that they're taking like ideas from the current stuff and going to be using that. Is that
possibly, yeah.
Oh,
and that's not too far fetched either, because Marvel has a deep history of like taking random things and just expanding on that in the MCU version and just doing it this way, like random things.
They're very much keeping up with the current stuff too. Because if you saw Eternals, have we all seen Eternals here?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We all know at the end the Celestial is like part of like or frozen or whatever, turned to stone.
Yeah. Yeah.
The current Avengers in the Marvel books are living inside a Celestial.
Yeah.
That's their base. The current roster is She-Hulk, Thor, Moon Knight, Blade, Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider.
Oh, it's happening.
Excuse me.
Captain Marvel.
I need to catch up on my reading.
Panther, I believe every one of those other than Reyes is
slated
for a thing, and they're talking about Ghost Rider showing up in Daredevil, or not in Doctor Strange.
Oh, that would be great.
So, I mean, other than maybe baby man thing that Blade runs around with, it's all we're missing for a current roster of Avengers to be live action.
That's true.
Yeah, they definitely have. They definitely pull on random things and expand. Like current things, like literally the whole Thunderbolts, the Kingpin thing that JR said that was in King in Black. That was random and like very brief. I could see them just plucking that and be like, "Yep, let's use this," and like, because it would just make sense because who hired who, like he explained,
So what you all are saying is that I could be right.
Yes.
Just kidding.
In summary,
I see them going the route of like.
No.
She's like, "What I'm taking away from this conversation."
No, I just like I'm really bad at like speculating just because I'm not like JR. Obviously, you have so much knowledge with what you've read, and I'm just kind of like like I don't know. This would be cool, and so I would be very proud of myself if I got just one thing right.
Well, this is all recorded, Hailey, so we can go back and say she called it. Hailey called it. This all turns out to be right.
That's so crazy to know, though, that there's like basically all of those people are slotted for either their own shows or are going to appear next year.
And also, if you think about Jason Aaron is the writer for Avengers right now. He also wrote the Thor run recently that they're making into a movie now.
God Butcher.
Or with Gore the Butcher and with Jane Foster.
Jane Foster, yeah.
So they're obviously looking at his work going, hey, we like it. It works for movies. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not a far fetch.
I loved what Jason Aaron did with Thor.
Yeah.
All the way to the end. I think it's time we bring up something here. And I wanted to go back to it, something that Candace brought up. I was trying to avoid it until later on in this discussion. But I think it's important that we cover this portion of the show here. And we bring up, Candace said the Marvel musical was a funny random element in the show, but I was kind of bummed when they when the continuation of the musical was a bonus scene.
I was hoping for something
spoilery.
Oh.
So
and like listening to this like 6, and I was gonna say 5. It's probably like 6.5 minutes or something. This guy singing what's the phrase? I could do this all day, and like,
oh my god,
the guy from Rent, right?
You know the phrase. Come on,
you know. And there's nothing, not even a little, because I told Hailey when what's it called, when Kingpin showed up, was it the last episode? I forget, but like at the end they had like of the title screen, they had like Kingpin's silhouette come up, which was nice.
That's 5.
You could have given me a little something like that, you know. Like I don't need a scene, like just a little something.
Well, I have to expect like somebody would be leaving the theater, and you'd be like, "Oh my god, that's so and so." But yeah,
like, it was nothing. It was full disclosure. I hate the musical.
Oh, it was okay. Like I think we need to like discuss on who on this panel would go see it and who wouldn't, because
I think we're split. JR,
we're very curious where you stand.
I'll be honest. I would have rather had them do the Spider-Man Into the Dark or whatever that musical that actually happened. Play a bit of that rather than play the Rogers musical at that.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Wait, there was a Spider-Man.
There was a Spider-Man musical. It was like I want to say like 2012, 13. It was like Swinging in Darkness or something. They had all kinds of problems with it. But there's actually a Spider-Man musical.
Yikes.
One other thing that I'll point out too is
Jason, don't speak too soon.
There's a possibility, at least in the books, Hailey's mom is Madame Mask.
Oh,
so they might bill her up to be,
Because I was like looking at Hailey, I was like,
no, my mom. My mom is actually.
We still talking about Hawkeye? Like,
Jason, I forgot to tell you.
so Eleanor, right?
So I mean, that's
Candace knows what you're talking about with this Spider-Man musical going on.
It was something Into the Dark. It was like I said, I heard it was really bad and it didn't last like 6 months or something.
I mean,
like someone died doing it.
Oh well, that's
well because they were trying to do the whole Spider-Man swinging and all that stuff.
Oh my god!
And I guess one of the stunt guys as like Spider-Man, like the rigging didn't work or something, and
that's so sad.
Maybe that's why they canceled it or part of it.
Well, it could be because of Spider-Man too, but.
So let me just say my piece here with this. So first of all, the ending, I totally agree with you all that I wish that there was way more in terms of some sort of spoiler that led to something that was actually relevant to, what's to come. And obviously we didn't get that. But all that being said, I laugh at this musical because obviously it's how corny it is, and I don't know if you guys know this. I'm a corny guy. I like the corny jokes, but obviously it's something to laugh at. It's clearly supposed to be cheesy. It's not something that's supposed to be this necessarily brilliant musical, and I know that. But I definitely, I will say if that ever was in theater, or if there ever is a Rogers musical in theater and I had the convenience of going to see it, if I didn't even see the never got to see the previews to it or anything, I'm signing up for it because it's Marvel and I'm going to see that. I mean, I want to go back to Disney someday so that I can go see all the Marvel stuff that they've added on, even though a majority of it is for kids and not for my age, but with all that being said, like I just want to be around Marvel stuff. So but that certainly I was cracking up when they had the step in for Captain America and singing "I Can Do This All Day." So we had this little group chat, the four of us, and so that was me chiming in, and I even took a video of just reminding everybody, here's how great this scene is, and sharing this ending clip or whatever. No, but I was cracking up, and I definitely like I said, I know it's a joke, but it definitely
it was funny, but 6 minutes funny.
Yeah, no, the ending. Yeah, right. It wasn't needed
so much. I was like, please make it stop.
But it's
and
crazy
I kept watching because you're is there going to be something at the end?
That's the thing. So I was watching it going, I know this sucks. I hate it too.
Yeah.
But I want to see what happens at the end because I thought something would happen.
Right.
Like
maybe
someone is
I
watching
didn't want to even scroll because I thought maybe the camera would pan to the crowd and Clint's watching it again with the something like that.
So I thought of that too. I thought maybe Clint was in the crowd because they even showed the musical producer in the front like doing his thing.
Yeah,
and I thought they were going to show more
behind.
Yeah, so I was going to show. I thought they were going to show more zoomed in back, people that were in the background, or that there were going to be like more people there, or like imagine like the Avengers, were there. I don't know, something else like that. Yeah.
If you had your pick of an end credit scene, what would you want other than that?
Ooh.
Literally anything.
Yeah.
I was.
We know your answer.
I want a billy club. Just show me a billy club like on the ground, like maybe after Fisk, where it just shows like the billy club and the gun next to each other.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yep.
See, I'm
or if we got like,
I
was gonna say, or if we got like the Punisher, huh? That would be.
I don't think we're in.
No, but they're definitely gonna. They're definitely. The thing is, didn't John Bernthal say like no matter how much, well, maybe he didn't say no matter how much money, but didn't he say like I'm not doing the role unless it's real, like gritty and like how it was on Netflix? Didn't he say shit like that?
Oh, I didn't read that.
I didn't hear about that.
I think like better.
It's Disney. Chance. There's no way it's gonna be as gritty. And
I thought he was going to do something with them.
What'd you say?
Was that not
maybe
official?
they paid him enough money,
Well,
I thought that
on me. What did you
I
say?
thought something had come out. Am I incorrect there? That there is no official.
So.
Oh wow, okay.
There's nothing official, but Disney needs to get off their high horse. Disney needs to go. We've got Hulu. We've got Hulu. We'll put it on Hulu. It doesn't have to
they have their MODOK show.
MODOK. We know MODOK was only one season. Hitmonkey will only be one season.
I forgot about
all the other guys' stuff. But just put the stuff on Hulu or put it on another platform. Be like, hey, this is canon, but it's like Elseworlds canon. Or
besides
you're not going to see Spider-Man showing up in this. You're not going to put the big guns in this. I think we have a better chance of getting Cosmic Ghost Rider than we do with Ghost Rider. Than Punisher.
I love Cosmic Ghost Rider. That's my jam. I love him.
All right, explain Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Isn't that Frank?
I don't know.
So Cosmic Ghost Rider is Frank Castle.
Yeah.
But it's like in the future, like basically he ends up becoming a herald. He ends up becoming a spirit of vengeance. And then he becomes a herald of Galactus also.
Uh-huh.
So he purified the whole world. And then Galactus came to eat Earth. And he made a deal with Galactus to become his herald. And so now he's got like this cosmic Ghost Rider bicycle.
That's so dope.
That goes to the sky and stuff. One of the best things Danny Cates ever created.
Thanos Wins. It's a 5-issue. Is it 5, JR, or is it 6?
I think it was 6 issues because it was
6.
It was 12 issues altogether, but it was 6 of it was Cates.
Well, that's the main. That's the solo series. I'm just talking about just Thanos Wins, like the introduction and like that storyline.
I think it was
not 5.
6. Maybe it's 5, but because I thought it was all
just
one
look
thing.
up Thanos Wins by Donny Cates and Jeff Shaw. You'll love it. It's crazy.
I'm gonna write this down though.
But honestly, with the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, I feel like if that goes dark, I think Disney will know how far they can take some of the like kind of dark content into Disney
But
Disney
there's
Plus,
that dark and Punisher dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Punisher, there's only one thing,
I'll say Punisher is much more realistically dark and
if it's gritty,
relatable
versus
oh,
this
bullets.
is
just let's be honest, it's bullets and blood. That's Punisher, right?
And even
that's what's
Punisher on Netflix was toned down.
Yeah.
Because
still, it was still pretty.
But they did a good job though on how it was.
The first season was good. Second season was garbage.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they still did a good job compared to what it will probably be for Disney. I mean,
yeah, I agree too.
Being a lot later.
Disney likes money, and I think Disney will go, okay, you guys will pay to watch this, even if we don't advertise this. Put on Hulu. People will pay to watch it.
I hope.
We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. We got to see if he keeps his logo. I mean, that whole controversy right now.
He's going to keep the logo. He's going to Japan for a month and he's coming back.
The killer of killers.
There's so much overreaction with that.
Wait, what is going on?
Yeah.
There's a new story Jason Aaron's writing. The Punisher book's coming back. There hasn't been a Punisher book for years, right? And his skull insignia is changed to a more Japanese kind of skull with horns and stuff.
Horns, yeah.
It's curved horns, yeah.
Yeah, people are freaking out saying oh my god, they're changing this, they're doing this, and nothing in comics is forever. It's temporary.
But it's also if the character is still if it feels like it's still the character, is the logo the thing
that's what I'm saying. You haven't even read it yet, and people are
people are just freaking out.
That's my take.
Yep. Well, I think also because they're some people are tying it into politics right now, and
no, of course,
yeah,
all that. Yeah.
Relax.
By the way, that Spider-Man play was "Turn Off the Dark" and it was in 2010.
Turn off the dark.
And there is pictures out there from it.
I feel like I've heard it just because I'm from Jersey and that was right in New York. I feel like I've heard that. 100%.
But let me just say, since we're talking about kind of dark stuff, one of the things in Hawkeye that I actually wish they did more of was Ronin. I wish they did a lot more Ronin, because I feel like he was more of someone I wanted to learn more about than just the normal Hawkeye Clint Barton, because that's a whole bunch of time that he was basically doing his thing. And all we saw was his retractable blade that for somehow needs a sheath and and a suit.
Yeah, but I think he was kind of
great point about the sheath
at that point. The sword was badass, but I think he was just kind of past it by that point.
Yeah, I didn't really have a gripe about that. I was like, cool. I don't know.
So, speaking of darker stuff, Ronin, that storyline, that's supposed to be a much darker, grittier storyline, right? In the comics, at least. And I know, I mean, obviously, we didn't get much of it for Endgame and all that, but they did try their best to kind of give you an idea that he basically went around killing. But they could have done a lot darker with that too, right?
Yeah.
Or it revealed more of what, that Kingpin hired or gave intel to the Ronin, but was there more to that relationship? Was there? Yeah, there just wasn't anything that tied them as.
I think that will get more in Echo.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so.
He ends up using Echo as his assassin. That's his. He doesn't want her. If she's attached to the father, she has a conscience. So he wanted kind of hey, I can just say, Uncle Kingpin or Uncle Fish goes, hey, I want you to go take care of this. The father would step in and go, hey, no. Whereas as the uncle, if the father's dead, then she's going to do it most likely because that's all she has.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I actually wish they gave more of Echo than what's the name of the henchman? It starts with a K. Kazi. I feel there's more Kazi than Echo, honestly. In some,
I feel that.
I can see that.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So the other thing too that I was what I thought they were going to somewhat go into with Kazi, which I'm glad they didn't, but I wish that we got more of this character got any of this character was when Kingpin and Maya meet up. And she basically asks for vacation time and wants to take a break or whatever. So as soon as he dismisses her and she leaves, he turns around to Kazi and he's listing off all the things that are going wrong, right? And he's just now my Maya, she's leaving me, and what are we going to do about that? A part of me was waiting for him to call him Wesley And I'm like, is there going to be a Wesley, or is there a Wesley in this show? Are we going to get a Wesley? There's definitely going to be. I just thought like that would be a perfect time for him to like turn to someone else and then be like, what are we going to do about this Wesley?
Actually,
and then Wesley come out of the back or something like that.
It depends now, doesn't it? I take that back. He's a very important character to Kingpin's character, right? But
yeah,
for everyone who's watched Daredevil,
so what they're saying,
make that canon, if they make the show canon,
they're not making.
You don't think they're going to do
that?
that?
I understand, Feige has come out and said all the Netflix shows are not canon.
But then,
okay, then yeah, never mind. Then,
like,
interesting.
Vincent tweeted that like he is the same Kingpin from Daredevil.
He's not a variant or anything?
No, it's that he is like, he was gone in the blip, and then he's come back and is trying to regain like authority over the city.
That makes sense.
Let me see if I could just find it really quickly, because
that's true. Actually,
I've also heard rumors that Daredevil's going to show up. Well, we all know he's supposed to show up in
the yellow
darkness in the Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But he's going to show up in his original red and yellow costume.
Oh, yeah, the yellow. Yeah.
Whoa, that's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
That'll be crazy. Okay.
That's why I have a feeling they're not counting that continuity, because they're going to show him in the yellow costume.
I could see that. But can we just appreciate that man's acting as Wesley? He did a fantastic job in that show. Like,
in the show, yeah.
Fantastic, yeah, for sure.
What about Hawkeye's wife, or should we call her Mockingbird?
Oh yeah, Mockingbird.
Oh yeah. So that was a cool way to do that, because we had no information. Yeah, right. Yeah. Like there was nothing about that prior, right? There was no hints. Okay, I wanted to make sure. I'm like, was I supposed to have known that this whole time?
So the tweet was, he said, "Trust me, in Hawkeye, I'm playing the character as if the character from Daredevil, survivor of the blip, is now set on getting back his city. The blip weakened his crown. He's authority over the kingdom. Now he wants it back. He's in damage control mode."
Okay.
So, I mean, he's saying it that he's like exactly the same guy from Daredevil, which would then, I would assume, make the Netflix show canon.
I hope they bring Wesley in and it's the same dude. I know that'll cause like, everyone's gonna be like, how? But like, he did a great job as the character of Wesley.
Movie magic.
Yeah, and Zdarsky's run especially, I love like the Wesley characterization he does, because it's just fantastic. Like the both sides and stuff.
And also for what Magic Lasso was saying about Mockingbird on the TV show.
Oh yeah,
I understand that's not canon.
Yeah, I don't think that show's canon.
That show is not canon, even though she was a great Mockingbird.
Was it?
Okay.
Was it Bobby?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I got through some seasons of that.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up too, Hailey, you mentioned the blip, and I think that, or another talking point I wanted to hear some of your opinions on was the Yelena blip scene, the beginning of episode 4, I think it was, where we see her essentially carrying on from the film, from Black Widow, and going around trying to save, whoever they thought they needed saving, basically with that spell or that potion that they had, the red dust, and that whole thing. Seeing the blip from her perspective, I thought was so like we never seen that before. Yeah. So for her to like have that blip, like I'll be right back and use the restroom, goes in the restroom, looks up, and just like the walls change and everything changes around her. And in her mind, it was seconds. It was literally seconds. There was no, there was no time for her otherwise. And for her to come walking back out as if nothing happened, to come to this whole family and stuff and her friend and just, getting the whole story like that. I thought that was really crazy. And I really am glad that they included that into this whole, I mean, it makes sense that they did. But that was, I wanted to get your takes on that, because I thought that was really interesting.
I love that scene. I thought that was, because is it the only time we get the blip is when Monica Rambeau comes back and then she's in the hospital?
Oh,
yeah. That's another good one. Yeah.
Because then we see
one more somewhere else, but yeah.
What I loved is that you really are getting the effects of like, here it's 5 years, you see the shift in setting, and because with the hospital, it felt very much still the same, like the hospital rooms. You didn't see that like really stark juxtaposition of like what the rooms looked like previously. And then it was just so heartbreaking when you see her asking for Natasha, and and then realizing, right, the whole blip for everyone else meant that people were coming back that they lost, and she comes back and then Natasha's dead. And so I thought it was so interesting and just really, really well done.
Yep. Agreed.
Speaking of,
agree with that.
But that whole, I'm sorry to like kind of jump back, but like that whole scene where like Yelena confronts Hawkeye and Clint saying like, you killed my sister, and like their whole interaction, right, of like no, I didn't, and he kind of explains. I thought that was that was great. That was a heartfelt moment, real touching on both parts.
Yeah, I actually wish they did had more of their interaction, because like she was like, "Oh, I'm just so sad that you got to spend time with my sister more than I did," and then, like basically that was kind of the spot where he's like, "Oh yeah, she was like family to him too." So it's kind of like they had that connection, but you only got that connection for like maybe like 3 minutes, and then they kind of went away. I felt like I wanted to see more of that. That would have been cool.
I wanted to see her in the car going to Clint's house with Hailey.
Oh,
I wanted her to be like to come out when they both got out of the car. I wanted her to come out randomly out of the passenger saying
that would have been cool.
Out of the trunk.
I feel like that was never gonna happen though.
Probably
She's still so hurt. Like I feel like how they leave that is like she believes him, but there's so much resentment that lives in that space.
She's very cold still.
And I think they need to keep her that way if she joins the Thunderbolts, or at least whatever team she's being assigned.
You're saying to keep her like darker, keep her
darker, so she's got something disjointed from reality, I guess you'd say. Because I mean, you look at John Walker; he's obviously got a grudge. She's now got a grudge against kind of Hawkeye. I mean, I imagine that's what they're going to kind of build that whole team around, is that type of thing of
Sheena.
Take care of that.
Sheena says hi, everyone, even JR.
She's still mad that I beat her in Geek Factor.
Also, Candace, great point here. She says, "Yeah, they got less screen time together than the Marvel music."
Oh, that's so true.
Wasting all that time.
So real. I also wanted him to like express more. Like I get it, like that Natasha, like when she had her sights set on something, like she was going to, sacrifice herself. She made that choice. But I felt like there could have been more dialogue between them of him expressing or explaining what actually happened, because Yelena has no idea.
Yeah, his explanation was like half-assed.
It was just kind of like she chose it. And it's like, well, you could at least say that you battled for it. There was a soul stone.
Get over it.
No one really knew until they got there that the stone was going to, take one of their lives. And, all of those things. It just felt like that was such a missed opportunity for him to establish more of common ground between them, because his reasoning was like, well, you just know her, she made her choice, but that doesn't give any of the specifics. And I think that also, but that does lend itself to this kind of frustration or resentment she might continue to feel, even though logically she maybe understands that her sister made that choice. But still, I was like, really? That's what you're going to say to her sister who comes back and is like, Natasha's like, I was just like, there needs to be more.
It's too open-ended. Yeah.
So I also thought that Yelena would have done more research to know what actually happened. Since she does research, right? Like that's her homework of like being an assassin, and she knew everything about Hailey, going into that whole thing. And they even like point that out as she names like, what school she went to and all these things that she won. Yeah. All these like things. And I just feel like, again, these are like small little things, but I would just think that she would have researched and said, well, before I go kill Clint out of my own anger, and yes, I'm being paid for it, let me just see what their story is of what happened to my sister.
So you're the type of person I've been making fun of all night. That's
just saying.
So think about this though. Prior to the blip, she had her sisters that would help her do that research. After the blip, we don't know if she reconnected with her sisters because it's been 5 years.
But she's been hired, so she's clearly working for somebody.
Right. But we know she was working for Kingpin. I guarantee you, if she's using any resources he's got, he is going, oh, you're not looking over here. We're going to kind of push you over in this direction. Here's all this stuff about why you should hate Clint and hate Kate Bishop.
Fed her all that information.
This good stuff that he did.
True.
Well, not even about hating Kate Bishop, because she doesn't hate Kate Bishop. She really knows that she's just like kind of doing her own thing. But then you also have Valentina, right? Is that her name?
Yeah.
At the end of Hawkeye, who's totally preying on her grief.
That's true.
So she's already being fed this narrative in the midst of her grief. Like, she's not going to think clearly. Like, how do you, if you're mourning someone and then someone's like, oh, there's a person to blame for it, when you're just like searching for how that makes sense. You just disappeared for 5 seconds, but now you've been gone for 5 years. Like,
nothing makes sense. Yeah.
There's nothing about it that is like giving you any stable ground to stand on. So it makes sense that like she didn't know or didn't want to give Clint the time of day, especially if she knew information about his experience, his like past as the Ronin, where he's just killing people, which is like him handling his own pain and grief too. But I felt like she took his answer so quickly in a way that just didn't make sense to me. Like, I felt like you would want more explanation after going through the links that you've had to go to in order to get to that point. Yeah. And it's like, who else would really know about the Soul Stone and the experience there other than Clint? Because I don't think...
Yeah, he's the only one there.
He's the only one there. Unless, is there any like classified, like those kinds of things, like no one would know besides him.
Yeah. Word of mouth.
I thought that he'd still share that though. I thought he'd still like explain details, like
right.
Well, I think it's still a raw nerve for him though, because I mean, you gotta think.
Yeah.
He cared for her. Like, I mean, he wasn't a lover of hers, but I mean, she was definitely like a sister to him.
Yeah, that was definitely a sister.
And so, I mean, it's still a raw nerve, and I mean, it's been 5 years or however long in the show, but it's still one of those things. Kind of like, I'm gonna tell her what she needs to know, that hey, she sacrificed herself for everyone else. She did the heroic thing.
Yep.
And that's all she needs to know. She doesn't need to know everything else. By the way, I think you pissed off Azores by calling her Val.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. I did think that that she would be someone that we saw towards the end, or as part of a leak to go into something else or something bigger.
It's crazy how much we're talking about Yelena, but the show is called Hawkeye. Like, how much she carries that show from, like, I don't know, episode 4 on. It's kind of
I don't know. I called episode 5 and 6 the Kingpin show.
I love it.
So I was on Kingpin watch come 5. I just like, okay, we're done.
So let me ask you guys this question, because it's kind of that open-endedness that Hailey was talking about. Isn't this show supposed to be a passing of the mantle from Clint to Kate? Because it didn't feel like that to me at the end. He was just like, all right, I guess I'm still Hawkeye.
Like, I don't know. You want to call yourself Hawkeye?
If you think about, like, all the shows have been kind of passing the mantle. I mean, if you look at, well, at least Captain or Falcon and Winter Soldier is definitely passing the mantle. And I mean, you could say Loki in a sense with the female Loki, and then this. But I don't think they meant for this to be really a passing the mantle. I think they're setting up stuff. I think they're going to, like Azores pointed out, they're probably going to do like a West Coast Avengers or a Young Avengers. But I still think Yelena is going to end up being on the Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts. I think they're just building out all kinds of different teams right now and setting up, because we don't have like the Avengers that we know anymore.
That's true.
So.
Yep.
Oh, I feel like this show was like passing of the mantle was like part of it, because like obviously it's called Hawkeye and like whatever, but like I feel like there was this show was made for like 5 reasons. Let's say one's passing of the mantle to introduce Kate Bishop, one's to bring in Kingpin, one's to
no, you can stop with Kingpin right there. It's just Kingpin.
Oh, like that's all you need. Like
that's it.
Kingpin was the other 3 reasons.
You get my point though. There's other things that they focused on to broaden and expand the universe, so they can introduce more characters and more. I feel like each show that kind of is like the passing of the mantle or things like that, they're gonna include all other things to grow the universe. In
that makes sense.
entirety,
Well,
Well, I mean,
I feel like we're going to see that a lot.
If you think about it, they left goodies for every one of the main characters to continue their story.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got Echo going on her thing.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Hawkeye or Clint with Mockingbird doing that whole story you can explore. You got Kate and find out what's going on with her mom and go on that story. You've got Yelena trying to discover what's right and what's going on with her story. They definitely kind of gave little tidbits for everything so they can go anywhere with those.
Yep, that's true. Yeah,
there's a lot. I'm excited.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But this is the only season, right?
That we know of.
That we know of.
Okay.
Can we touch on just some of the corny, funny like scenes here for a sec? I had put a couple down, and you can, feel free to chime in. But there was one of the scenes that stood out to me as just one of my favorites. And they did it. I think they did it at least twice in here, where Clint had his hearing aid broken, and the car scene one where he's driving and she's shooting arrows out of the window, and basically like she's like throwing ideas as like, I think it'd be easier if you turned around, I could shoot this way. And obviously he can't hear anything, but he comes up with the idea like a moment later and is just like, hey, I think it'd be easier if I turn around and you could shoot out that way.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's the same thing. And then the other scene where they're on the train afterwards on the way home, and she's like, man, I hope the dog's all right. I should really feed him and all this stuff. And then he like compliments her. He's like, hey, you did a good job. By the way, I think we should check on the dog. Like, it's been a long time. Like, I love
that. Was awesome.
And to see their faces be as straight as they were, like, it just was.
They have a good What's the phrase? Back and forth.
What's the big rapport?
Rapport.
I should say. They have good chemistry.
Well, what about also when Kate wants to steal that muscle car? And Clint's like, no, you don't steal a muscle car.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't. Yeah, he's like, we're not breaking the window of like the Charger or something like that. And then like
that was in the comics. That was in the book.
The Charger still gets messed up because like they he busts up the car anyways, and he's just so disappointed.
I was really hoping we'd get like a pizza dog, like not a full episode, but give me like a 5-minute, like just a pizza dog
end
doing
credit
stuff.
of the
Whoa.
season.
Because you have that one issue that is all about pizza dog,
Jesus.
where he just the whole episode's that, and I think it'd been great just to have like him running around and going to the roof to the barbecue or whatever, because they do that in the books.
Yeah.
Eric here says, I think Echo was the Kingpin show featuring Daredevil too. Also, James was asking too, did they ever explain why Echo has a prosthetic leg? Not in this, right? They didn't actually hide it. They showed it, but they didn't. Yeah. The other scene that I want to mention was when the two parts where it clearly, I just loved how it was like modernized with Clint having these like plans, or just being trained to always have some sort of escape plan or some sort of like setup on how to break in or whatever the case is. And like the scene where they are trying to break into Echo's apartment, he's like, all right, I'm going to hop this fence and climb up the wall on the side and all this stuff. And she's like, yeah, that's great, but I'm going to do it this other way. And she just like walks in helping this old guy with his groceries or whatever. And she's like, I'm just taking the elevator. And then the guy in the elevator, he's like talking to Clint, and the old man's like, excuse me, who are you talking to me? Or
and then he finds her so weird. I was like, I love it.
Yeah, it's like, I'll take my groceries.
Yeah, he's like, I'm good. I'm good. I thought that was great. And then the other one was towards the end when she rescues him from the whole gun fighting scene with Clint, or the sword fighting scene with Clint. Yeah. And she's like, so you got a plan on how we're getting out of here? And this car just pulls up and is like, hi, are you Michelle or whatever it was? Like name it. It's just a random Uber car picking them up. Like, I just like that they modernize a lot of that, and obviously it's relatable to now, which obviously they didn't have in the comics. So I thought that was clever, and just shows like her age, and like that makes sense. That's where her mind is, and we're she's used to this. She grew up with these kind of things, and so I like that they put that in there.
Well, she's not a superhero, right? Like, I think what that shows so much of, like, there's this romanticizing of like what an Avenger is, like what a superhero is, what that like whole process looks like, and then you just get Kate, who's like trying to attain like all like that skill and that level that Hawkeye is at, but right, has to do it as like a regular person. And so I thought that was really those scenes like with them on the train station, or the Uber scene, or her going up and trying to problem solve herself. It's like we watch all of these movies with the Avengers and there's so many questions we don't ask, like what is like the process of like how they get from point A to point B sometimes, or they have everything at their fingertips with the tech. And then this is what it actually looks like if you're like, I'm trying to become an Avenger, but I'm not quite there yet.
Right.
What about like that elevator scene with Yelena when she's
trying to push the buttons?
You don't know what floor he's on. She's like, stop at 12.
Well,
and then she gets in the elevator, and she's tried everything to press the buttons. Yelena's just going like this, wax on, wax off, everything.
That's hilarious.
That's like one of the best scenes for me.
It really was.
When he gets the buttons, you're just like,
so funny.
Yeah.
I just want to see her go, you bitch.
Even like when they were fighting upstairs, once they get upstairs and they're continuing to fight, and they get towards the end of that scene, and like the window smashes open, and Yelena hurts her hand. She goes, "Ow, that really hurt." And she's like, "Yeah, well, you kicked me in the chest earlier, and that really hurt." And she's like, "Oh, that was good form, right? That was pretty good." Like I just like that little bag.
What about when Kate rips off her dress and she has her uniform? And Yelena's like, "Did you have that underneath?"
Yeah,
that's smart. That's real good.
You planned that? Yeah.
So great.
I love it.
Those moments never felt forced. You know what I mean?
Oh no, that was awesome.
Like
such good chemistry.
I didn't know kind of like
got
moments.
His outfit.
Never
Clint finally wore his outfit. She's like, "You wore the uniform."
Oh, I love that scene.
Yeah,
that was great.
I kind of wish they would found some way of just doing the mask.
Oh, with the H.
When she drew it on the napkin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
At the coffee.
That was a good one.
And he was like, "Heck no."
He's like, first of all, my wife would divorce me. One other thing I want to bring up was saddest moments, and if there's any others, feel free to add in. But I wanted to mention one of the saddest moments that I thought of the entire series was when Clint is trying to talk on the phone to his son and doesn't realize it was his son at first, and then Hailey coming over to kind of assist him with writing all that stuff. I thought that was pretty emotional of a scene, and again just kind of brought you back to a reminder of just how much Clint cares for his family, and that he is deep down a family man, and everything he's doing is for his family, and yet he has this other goal in mind while also resolving all the serious issues going on. Like his personal goal is to be home with his kids by Christmas, and even in the beginning we see him bonding with his kids at first, planning out all these things, the ugly sweater stuff, the Christmas movies, like all these different things. And day by day, like he's just missing those opportunities. And you could see like throughout that was really hurting him, and even the phone calls home and stuff like that. But that one scene was like, I thought it was pretty heavy, talking to his son there.
That and the Kate Bishop one at the very beginning when she's a little kid and her house is getting destroyed during the Avengers event.
Oh yeah.
And she's yelling for her dad.
Oh yeah.
During that scene, that was gut wrenching.
Yeah, that was, and that was so early too.
Yeah,
I love that they fit that in there. That beginning.
The scene
one of the better scenes too.
I really like that scene. I don't know how you guys felt when she comes in to spend like Christmas with him. Like it was like when Kate comes in with like the bags and everything. Like I just like I know it's meant to be like a happy, but it felt so bittersweet because like you can tell like she knows that he's like feeling lonely and missing his family, and his kid was like, "It's okay if you miss Christmas," and you're like, or like they're not missing. It's not Christmas Day, but she's like decorating with him and trying to like do the movie marathon and make up for their absence. Yeah, the margaritas.
The margaritas. Yeah, that was great.
That reminds me of that other scene. You realize that thing is not you can't wipe that off the board,
I was just
right?
gonna say that, yeah. And she's like, "Are you sure that those are erasable marker?" And then she like uses the tree to try to like hide it. Yeah, dry erase. So good.
Yeah, like I think my saddest moment, probably not saddest, but I think kind of pulling at the heartstrings was with Echo and her dad, and he was like, sorry, I couldn't get you into like this like specific school, so now you have to live these two lives, and then you kind of know that's going to be a string that they pull along in the future, and you're like, okay, now you kind of feel for this character, even though she might be considered on the bad side of things. So it's kind of an interesting type of dynamic there.
That's good. And they did bring that back at the very end with Kazi, where he's like, I can't live in both worlds, or I can't jump on both sides or whatever at the very end of that.
There's also What'd you guys think of the scene with Echo and Clint for the first time when she notices he has a hearing aid, and she like almost feel like you see like there's this weird sense of hope with her where she's like, you know, start signing with him, and she thinks like it almost is like I know that he's there as like
a captured person.
But it felt kind of hopeful, and then instant disappointment when she found out that he's only relying on that and can't communicate with her, because it seems like no one in her life can really sign besides Kazi, and no one is putting in that effort, and then like she realizes he's just disappointing as well. And I was like,
and if you really think about it, I imagine that was done on purpose, of having only Kazi as a person to be able to talk to her, other than Kingpin, because that's something Kingpin would do. Would be like, you only have this one contact, and make it come back to him. That's why he's one of my favorite characters, because he thinks of little things like that most of us go, oh, somebody would learn sign language and be part of it. Guarantee if someone tried to learn sign language, he would have killed him.
I can see that 100%.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. Oh, that's really good.
So we've been streaming for about an hour and a half now, going pretty well. Appreciate everybody that's in the chat or has been jumping in and out. Appreciate everybody swinging by, or if you're watching the replay right now. Again, if you're not following this crew here, make sure you do. I'll put their information in the description below. I'll add JR's link as well. This has been a lot of fun. I'm not wrapping up yet, but see, look at this, man. This same person in the chat. I swear I blocked the user, and then it comes right back and offers all their services. But you know, as we kind of get towards the end here, I do want to. Well, one, is there anything else that anybody wanted to kind of bring up, or I know obviously there's just a lot to kind of cover in this six episode series, but I do want to also get to kind of what Alan had pointed out in the beginning, was maybe how we could kind of try to rank some of these TV shows together. But any other key moments or scenes that anybody wanted to mention before we kind of move on? I was looking back. Actually there was one too. I forgot. The Trust the Bros guys. So I know it's like silly, but I was laughing at the scenes with the one guy having girlfriend issues.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and he's like, I bought these tickets, Imagine Dragons, which I love, and he's like trying to explain, and she's like, well, like you need to talk to her.
At least you don't have to go see Imagine Dragons. He's like, I love
it's so good. He's like, I got Maroon 5 tickets instead, like all this stuff.
But I thought that was so relatable, because listen, I know they're huge. I know they're like they're very successful, but personally, I really related with it. I was like, yeah, who the hell goes to see Imagine Dragons? And the guy's like, I do. You know, I like it. I was like, well,
Jason, I love Imagine Dragons.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know, though, Collins, so many people are gonna be dressing up as the Tracksuit Mafia though now.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
You're gonna see groups of guys dressed up as that.
I was just looking for a reason to wear a tracksuit. Like, that's all I really.
There you go. The other scene too I laughed at was with those guys was when they're driving the truck, and Clint is basically there to deliver a message to Maya. So he shoots the arrow, it goes through the windshield and like right in front of his face, and it's the little note that just like it says, Maya, meet me at the park, or whatever. Yeah. And he reads it and he's like, but we're not Maya. That was like the one thing he says before they flash to something else. He's like so concerned, like, why is this coming to us? Like, we're not Maya.
I will say one other thing. The one detail I loved was the shirt that they put Kingpin in. That red and white Hawaiian shirt. That whole outfit was taken from a cover.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have seen it.
I saw it,
It's basically he's beating up on Spider-Man. It's the same. They switch out Kate for Spider-Man. But I mean, it's perfect if you look at it.
That was literally like the chef's kiss kind of like addition to this show for sure. Mm-hmm. For sure.
Whoa, Hailey, what do you got there? Oh.
Have a look, Roy.
Nice.
You got there.
All right. So one of the things, Jason, before you got on, Alan had pointed out and said maybe as kind of a fun way to close this stuff out is to kind of rank. How would we rank the show? What'd you say, Alan, from this year, or just like, are you talking like Disney shows in general, or?
I'm thinking like the 4 TV shows. I'm thinking of the 4 TV shows. of this, Falcon, Loki, and Scarlet Witch.
Okay.
WandaVision.
Right.
There weren't any other TV shows, right?
No.
Those were the four.
Are we counting What If?
You should count What If.
We should, because it could become canon in
sure, and What If. Oh man, that changes my thing now.
Good thing you watched it, Jay, right?
So I'm more than halfway through.
You didn't finish it. Oh, so you can't even.
No, they're long. They're like half-hour episodes, man. What do you think? I just do nothing at home.
Oh my god!
I mean, soon you'll have Sundays when you won't have to watch football, so you could just watch.
Right. That actually that does play a big. I'm getting my Thursdays back, by the way. How exciting is that? I know you all are very excited. Yeah, that'll be a big opening there. Yeah, we can. Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the What If stuff. I mean, I haven't seen the last. Probably the back half or a little less than, but I was telling Jason I just saw the Doctor Strange one, I saw the zombies one, I saw the What If with Killmonger. That was really cool. All of them, a majority of them anyways, left me either sad and also just wanting to like I was like genuinely interested in like wanting to see more of like that universe or whatever. I'm like,
I think we know we're getting a second season.
Okay, nice.
So I think
and zombies, right?
Some of those.
Oh yeah, zombies.
Zombies, I believe they're doing a show.
That's its own thing, right? Yeah, they're doing a whole show just on zombies. Okay, so that's cool. So yeah, we can include that for sure. I mean, it'll tweak my answer a little different maybe than what you'd expect, but let's go with the flow. Just don't throw anything else in there, like Spider-Man 3. Who wants to start? Alan, you want to start first? You want?
Sure. I'll start. So this show I think is a very rewatchable show, and I really liked it. I'm not like the biggest person on like kind of holiday specials, I guess.
Yeah.
But I guess my order would be Loki, number 1. Then I would go Hawkeye, kind of really tied with WandaVision, and I would go What If, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yeah. But I really like WandaVision.
I get that though.
Yeah.
I feel wow.
People are
I feel offended by that list, but it's fine.
Yeah, a little bit.
Don't worry, Alan. I got your back.
I like your number 1.
Yeah, your number 1 was good.
Wait, so you said Loki, Hawkeye, Wanda, What If, and then Falcon
and Winter Soldier. Okay. Yeah.
People in the chat, feel free to add your list.
I want to hear Hailey's. Now that I feel like mine is opposite.
Can I ask why was Falcon so low?
That's what I want.
Just a quick synopsis.
So I really like the action, but I liked how a lot of the others moved forward a lot of like external storylines from it. Okay. Right? It was like external to it. It's not like I didn't like Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I feel like there's so much more that I'm like, oh, they could pull on X, Y, and Z string from like these like kind of storylines. Yeah, that's kind of why I put those up top.
Yeah, and I was gonna say to clarify too, I'm sure all of us here, while we are ranking these, don't take it in any way that our last pick is necessarily a bad,
No, they were all like it.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna judge. I mean,
hey, something's got to be last, all right. Something's gonna be last. All right. So, since Alan's being judged by Hailey, it's only right that we hear Hailey's next. So, Hailey, what is your list from this top 5?
Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's kind of hard for me with like Wanda and Hawkeye because I agree with Alan that Hawkeye is super you can rewatch it, but then WandaVision is honestly what got me into Marvel Comics and like reading. So like
it means something special to you.
It means something special, and I thought it did a great job of like so many different aspects. So I would say then Wanda, Hawkeye, and then What If. So that would be my list.
Okay, we're not too off.
I know, but the Falcon and the Winter Soldier being last just makes me so sad. I thought it's just I understand that. Like I get what you're saying with it stopped pushing things forward externally in this sense that the other shows kind of felt like they were cracking open the MCU just like in further ways with different characters and storylines. But I thought they did such a good job of furthering those two characters and Nemo, in a way that like you're not really, which I think you get in WandaVision a lot more because they're dealing with the trauma and grief. But I thought laying the foundation of what Earth really looks like in this state, like after the blip, was like so interesting to me. And like having all of those moving parts felt like really big, but also like encapsulated in a interesting way. That we don't see often what the repercussions of each Avengers film looks like, right? On the cities.
That's true. I respect that.
Yeah, that's why.
And why was What If on your bottom? I'm asking everyone.
No, I love for me, it's just like it's animated, and I think it does a really good job for an animated TV show, but it's also an anthology. It comes together at the end, but for me, when it's these like single stories, I was invested in some, not invested in others. Wasn't sure if it was going to come together. It does. Liked it, but the live action for me is just so much more thrilling than the animated stuff. It takes a lot for me to feel, in order for me to get really involved and really love an animated film, period, you got to make me emotionally invested. And because it's like one episode to kind of get you there, I'm like, I either like this episode or I didn't, versus like the whole thing. Like the Marvel Zombies, I was like, I loved that episode so much.
That was a great episode.
That was a phenomenal episode. Yep. And then, Peggy Carter was really cool. But I kind of left.
Episode had me crying.
Really? Yeah. See, I think they did a good job, but it just didn't hit me in the way that the other shows did emotionally. So that's why it was my bottom.
Quick break here. TM says Hawkeye, WandaVision, Loki, What If, and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Okay. Candace says Loki, Wanda, Hawkeye, Falcon, and What If.
Interesting.
Eric has said Loki, Hawkeye, Falcon, Wanda, What If. And hey, my man Brian's here. Cell, what's going on? Cell's Comics says Loki, Falcon, What If, Hawkeye, and he has Wanda in the back there. Interesting.
I love seeing all these lists.
Yes. So and I'll get back to some more. I see people sharing stuff, but Jason, let's go to you, sir. What would your 5 in order be?
Loki's number 1. I put what's that show? WandaVision as number 2. Sorry, there's only like a few, and I'm already blanking on the names. So Loki, WandaVision. I was gonna put Hawkeye before Falcon and Winter Soldier, but just because I love mutants, and Eric reminded me that they took us to Madripoor and Princess Bar in Falcon and Winter Soldier. So just because they did that, and even though the Kingpin and everything was cool, I gotta put Falcon and Winter Soldier number 3, then Hawkeye, and then What If. Even though if they take stuff from What If and they translate it to the things we're gonna get this year or the next year in 2022, then it might change. Then it might change. Yeah. But since it's not official yet, that's
just from what you know now. Yeah, just from what you have.
From the current information we have, that's non-official. I'll put it last, but it could easily change if it becomes canon.
Man. JR, did you want to pick at Jason at all?
Sorry. I mean, obviously, I'm going to grill you. I mean, WandaVision had the mutant first, so wouldn't that be higher?
Well, the thing is, Loki, just everything was just so dope, man. Time and stuff, and that was just dope,
Everything was dope. I can't argue that.
I feel like JR caught you, and you're like.
You got Kang and stuff, and like Kang's the new big bad, right? So like, everything introduced something, but that introsed the new big bad, right?
All you had to say is Alligator Loki.
True.
You had to get Alligator Loki or bad cosplay Loki. Mm-hmm. Either one of those, you're golden.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's still valid. Number 1, Loki. What about you? Let's hear your list.
Wait, no, I'm sending this over to JR next. JR is, we don't want to.
I think that's who
I was speaking to.
Oh, I don't know who you're speaking to.
Did you figure it out? I just took over the accidentally.
I can't tell who you're looking at, Jason.
Obviously, I'm going to go Loki first. Because Alligator Loki. I mean, why not?
That's the reason.
I'm gonna go with What If for number 2.
Oh
wow.
Just because I think there's so much potential and there's so much heart to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the last Chadwick Boseman thing we
that's
had.
true.
That's
So
true.
to me,
Yeah.
that's a
special.
huge thing. I'd probably go Hawkeye next, even though, to be honest, if it was just Kingpin, it'd be higher on the list.
Okay, I am actually surprised it's not Hawkeye's not number 1 for you, Joe.
If he would have been in 4 of the 6 episodes, then yes, but he was only like in 1 and 2 halves, I guess.
He was in 0 of Loki. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, but Loki was awesome. Loki was amazing. Come on. WandaVision, and then I would go with Winter Soldier. My problem with Winter Soldier, as much as it was a great overall, it was just, to me, it felt too heavy-handed on the social justice message. I want to watch a show to be entertained.
I'll disagree, but I'll respect your opinion.
I think they did a job on it. They did a real good job on it, and it was great.
I personally think it was needed.
That maybe I just go to TV to watch to escape. And at that time when that came out, so much bad stuff was going on. I was just like, you're just giving me the news again. I think it was well done. But
we also have to realize the whole comics in general, it wasn't mutants, right? That were a representation of minorities and other peoples, But in general, comics, people.
Oh no, I love Sam. It's not even.
Sam no. I know what kind of person you are, Jared. Trust me. It's saying no.
I know that, but I'm just saying it was just the heavy-handedness on stuff.
No, I understand.
Calling him Black Falcon or what do they call him, Black Cap in it? That kept...
No, I think it was Black Falcon. You're right.
Yeah, I was just like, he's Falcon.
I know a lot of people agreed. Sorry, Jason.
No, I was gonna say introduced. What's his face?
Torres.
Well, him too, but I was gonna say what's his name? Elijah. Actually, two.
Oh, yeah.
Both the grandfather and
grandson,
Elijah and what's his name? Fuck.
I know you're talking about from the Truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
Isaiah
introduced.
Isaiah.
His grandson,
isn't Isaiah
part of the Young Avengers?
And I thought that was it was an amazing moment when they're talking about like why he does at least for a white guy like me, I don't understand that. And I thought that was amazing how they brought it across, because I would never, unfortunate white privilege. I'm not trying to be racist, but it is.
What's that?
But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I've never been in a situation. I've talked to friends like that, and it's a 100% fact what he was saying. I just, at times, I want to just escape reality. That's all.
No, I get that.
I think
definitely
what
get that.
you're saying is like there was a few people I talked to whose sentiments felt very similar. Like at the time that it came out, with everything that was happening, that was really in front of everyone's mind, just like the political climate and what people were experiencing. Not that people haven't been experiencing that forever, but what I think about is like that was being filmed, like when that was being filmed, and I don't know, I felt like that grounded it much more in, yes, like Marvel is like this otherworldly thing, but there's so much of it that is grounded in like our reality, that when we think of like WandaVision or what they're doing with some of these shows and showing the like grief and trauma that are just like so much part of like the human experience, to me it didn't feel like a pick of it trying to be so social justice-y, but rather just showing a reality of a human experience that these people, like Black people or like non-colored people, experience. So I think I liked it. I think for me, that's what elevated it a lot, was that they're not ignoring what the issues that would come with taking up the mantle for Sam and the questions that he would have to ask himself.
Right.
Because like any superhero person is going to go through their own individual struggle. And I think to take that struggle away from Sam is to like ignore a part of like who he is as a human. And so I totally hear what you're saying. And like, that definitely doesn't come off as like a, racist or anything like that. Like a lot of people had that kind of sentiment. And I think especially for when it came out, it just felt so like, you know, amplified of like what, you know, you turn on the news and you're seeing. So it's, I think being able to like watch in a different time where you're like, oh, I'm not seeing this like on repeat constantly. It might even feel a little bit different, but yeah. So I hear that.
I wanted to highlight here, TM did point out a great point here about JR going at Alan here as to why he put Falcon and Winter Soldier last, and yet he puts him last himself.
So first station, man, come on. You don't ask the Kingpin those questions. Just giving information, that's all.
Oh, no, they're back. Oh,
I know. I just saw. I don't get it. I'm blocking them. I'm not even.
It's because you're no good love. I mean, that's
no good love face. XYZ. All right. So, you guys ready for my list here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, wait a sec.
I know that's what the whole chat's been waiting for.
I'm scared is if Loki ends up like in the bottom 4 or 5, we might have to have a talk, Justin.
JR, I don't know if you know from last episode, Justin never saw Spider-Man 3, so I don't know if we could just trust Justin on anything.
So wait a sec. Are you talking about the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3?
Yeah, you didn't watch 3.
That's good though, because that was
no. JR's the one.
JR's one of those people that were just like saying you don't need to watch it.
I mean, mind you, I was the one that in the Spider-Man movie, I cheered when Tobey Maguire got gutted. I was the one that in the crowd that went, yes. Complete silent audience.
Yeah, JR hit me up saying that. He's like, I'm not kidding. I was legitimately cheering in the audience. JR, for those of you who don't know, JR is not a fan of Spider-Man.
I felt robbed when they didn't kill him at the end. I was like, you got 3 Spider-Man. You can kill us. You can kill one. No one would notice. It's one less Spider-Man.
You're like, my odds have gone up for one of the Spider-Man to die now.
It's totally what a Kingpin would say.
Yeah, it's what a Kingpin would say. So we'll definitely have to talk then, JR, after my list comes out here. But so with everything being said, I am going with Hawkeye as my number 1. I think it's pretty clear, pretty easy to say because out of all the ones, and JR, you can't be mad at me, JR, because it's a lot of it has to do with
I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you, but you just said at the beginning, like you stopped watching the show. You didn't binge it like the other show.
Totally. Because I could 4, 5, 6 to me was like a Marvel film. Like that right there gave me the excitement. Sure, if you want to call it that, then yeah, we could call it that. But I just liked not even Kingpin, but Yelena showing up. I mean, obviously we talked about all this, but like those characters being part of something that I wasn't expecting them to show up as was again brought me back to the excitement of, and I shared this last time. Not like going in, not knowing any spoilers, not looking into any speculation, just going in, just completely raw and no guesses and just watching it and being able to get the feelings very similar to that I had to Civil War and seeing the characters that showed up in Civil War when I was blinded completely and didn't know who was in that other than like the 3 or 4 main characters. So that feeling was just awesome. So to see the ending of episode 4 when we see Yelena on the roof or whatever, like, and then the mask comes, like, even that I'm like, who, like, I couldn't even think who it was even then, like, just knew it was a chick and that was it. And then like I'm waiting for the mask to come off, finally we see, you know, who it is. And then same thing with the end of episode 5 when we see Kingpin, like the reaction that I've given was very similar or close to a lot of these bigger Marvel films where I'm just like, what? Like I was in my kitchen, like having lunch and just like freaking out. And, you know, it was just, you know, it was like a random, you know, what was it, Wednesday or whatever. So those moments to me, like I didn't get that as much with some of these other series. Now, granted, there are some certain moments, obviously, with some of these other series, but the excitement that I had based on, I should clarify this, based on what I know of the comics I've read, that to me, that's where my head was and where my heart is. And I always like to clarify that because a lot of the things that you guys are dropping here, even tonight, I didn't know or didn't realize, or like, you know, based on some of these other characters, you guys have read a lot of this stuff, especially, you know, Jason, Jared, the way you guys, I mean, some of the details that you're talking about. I didn't know.
Open on the other tab. It's not me.
I didn't know. But you know what I mean? So that's like, you know, I'm obviously going to have a different like take on certain things just because I didn't know or what to expect or whatever. So, and that's also going to play into why I chose some of these later ones. But, so, all right. So I'm going Hawkeye first. Second, Gonna go with Falcon and Winter Soldier. That was another one to me that I'm putting up there, especially with the topics that were in that particular show. And I was shocked that Marvel even was open to going there, just because I just thought Marvel would totally play the fence of playing safe and not touch anything. And so for them to go and do something like that, and I understand the angle that you were talking about, JR, and I know you're not alone there either. But I just think that, especially for its time, how important it was to kind of include in certain, portions of the show. And it wasn't the entire show. So I don't, obviously like the last episode was more heavily focused on some of it, but I think overall, and then just in general, I just loved, I love Captain America, the new Captain America, loved the last episode. That too was something that I knew we saw coming, but just seeing Sam crash through wearing the new Captain America outfit, to me, was just one of those moments where if I was in a theater, like Jason, when you were screaming, when they, certain things happen, like that to me was like a, oh yeah, kind of moment.
It's like that Spider-Man moment in the first one when all the New Yorkers start throwing stuff at the Goblin on the bridge.
Oh yeah, and they all help out. Yeah,
it is one of those moments.
Right. It's like extra. It's just special. It's like something that and real, and it's almost like you put yourself in your shoes there. Like if you were there, or if you were in that scene, like how would you react, type thing. So, Hawkeye, Falcon, Winter Soldier. The third one on my list is WandaVision. I loved it. I loved the takes of all the different shows, all the different series or films that they played off of throughout those episodes, and obviously just played a huge role in the overall story of what we're getting and what's to come in Doctor Strange and all that other stuff. And again, this list is totally not to put anything down, but my next one on the list is Loki. And I'm going with Loki. And a lot of this comes back to what I said before, that my lack of knowledge with some of these characters, such as Kang. I do not know much about Kang, even with all this news out and the speculation and people just dropping knowledge about like what's to come, what should come, what this means, like all that stuff. I've never really taken the time to even bother reading or watching those videos or talk or anything like that. And I've never read Kang. I'm excited to new villain, big villain. I want to see where this goes. Obviously, like Thanos was awesome. I didn't know anything about Thanos before Thanos was introduced either. But so I'm excited to see where that goes. But that show to me just wasn't like, it just didn't hit home the way obviously and clearly everyone else it hit for. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the setup of what's to come is such a big deal. And to me, it was just like to me, Kingpin is a big deal. That's my big, that's a big deal for me. So on what I know based on the knowledge that the things that I've read. So that's why Loki has kind of been part of that, but not to knock Loki. I still really enjoyed it. I'd watch it again,
No, you wouldn't.
And then the last one.
So our next show, we're not gonna have Justin on anymore. All four of us agree on Loki being top notch.
JR, you're just take my spot. You use my channel though, and I'll be off though. That's fine. So and then the last one, obviously, What If, and that's really What If is mainly because I just didn't see the whole thing. But I think JR, what you're saying too, like there's just so much potential for the stories that I feel like in a way you can't put it with the rest of these, because that in itself tells so many more stories in general that technically I feel like it should be like number one on anybody's list, just because it opens so many doors to all these characters and all these feelings and all these storylines and things like that. So but with all that being said, it's my last because I only saw the first 6 episodes or whatever.
And to be fair, like any one of these shows was amazing in itself.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, ranking them in their order, I mean, we're all kind of drawing straws there, but compared to what the distinguished competition's doing and what everyone else is doing in the realm of superheroes, we're in a golden age right now. We're so lucky with what we're getting.
Yeah.
I mean, this is TV shows. This isn't even movies.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, we should not be complaining.
No, we're not complaining.
Nope.
Have you guys seen The Assembled, which is showing the creation?
Oh yeah.
Of all of these
on
TV
Disney
shows.
Plus.
That
was on Disney Plus.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I know it's on Disney Plus.
It's for each movie and show and stuff.
They usually do one of the episode after the week is over, isn't it?
Didn't they do that with
but it's
Mandalorian?
added onto like assembled.
Like Mandalorian was called the section. Gallery, is what they called that one.
Oh, right, but it was same thing though, right? I thought
same concept, but
that I watched.
Just changed a different name.
Okay, yeah.
Definitely recommend watching those. I watched it I remember watching it for WandaVision and just totally having a different appreciation for the show, and like the episodes where they were doing like stylized, like, you know, the 50s, 60s, like TV shows, they go into how they actually used the same kind of setups that they would during that time period. Like they tried to mimic exactly. And you just like really see the talent and the skill and the thoughtfulness and intention, which you already know because it's like Marvel. But I think it takes everything that they're doing and you're like, wow, it's really breathtaking to watch. Definitely recommend. I love watching The Assembled. I geek so hard, but
nice.
I think you guys might like it.
It's good behind the scenes material for sure.
Yeah. The Star Wars ones were amazing. I know that. So
yeah, I thought they were good.
Watch those.
Watch even like the music one was awesome.
Ooh.
But it just makes me happy with the fact of this is what we're getting now. We still haven't seen Fantastic Four. We haven't seen X-Men. I mean,
wait.
We got X-Men's probably 4 or 5 years down the road, but just think about how much they're going to jump in quality. They're amazing now, and we're probably going to have all those movies coming 4 or 5 years from now.
That's so crazy. Like when we think about what Marvel's done, I just started getting into all of this like maybe a year ago, and I think for me the key thing when I was getting into it was like recognizing you have like 10 years worth of filmmaking to just get to one moment. And that kind of storytelling is so impressive. And like no one's done that. So, like what?
DC still can't figure it out.
I'm scared that Disney's going to go, we're just going to make a Marvel like offshoot. Like you're have Disney Plus with Star Wars and Disney stuff, and then just have another channel.
Just for Marvel.
Just Marvel. Because
it'll get like
buy
that.
It.
They're gonna have enough content. Yeah.
They will have enough content. Yeah, think about all. Unlimited stories.
I would give them my money. You know.
Take my money.
Unfortunately,
I have everyone's money here.
They have my credit card info.
They have my details. They know where to take money out from.
Well, it's like I think it was Kevin Smith that said it probably 15 years ago that Disney, one of the big issues they had was they had little kids and then they had like girls. They lost boys at like 10 years old. Girls they always had because of princesses and all that Disney stuff. And they went, okay, what can we do to get the boys to stick around? And they went and bought Marvel. They went and bought Star Wars. And so they basically bought most guys' childhoods when they did that. And I mean, that's why they're the mouse. I mean, the evil empire, but
the mouse.
The mouse.
Very true, my friend.
Well, appreciate everybody that's in the chat right now. We got 10 people still hanging with us, so thank you all. If you are not following the crew that's up here, make sure you do so. I put their information in the description below. We're over the 2-hour mark, so I want to pass it around. Any final thoughts or just closing outs or anything before we go? We'll go kind of around the horn here. So Alan, I'll start with you because you're to my immediate left.
Definitely. So yeah, this is again another fun episode of I guess movie/TV crew now. We're doing. Because I come in here bringing just a little teeny bit of knowledge, and I come out of it like learning like this much more. So it's kind of nuts, and I'm glad to be part of this and definitely want to do this again. And yeah, Hawkeye is a great show. It's like all of the things that we've talked about. There's so much more. You're gonna probably have another episode about it. So appreciate hanging out with everyone, and catch y'all in a bit.
Cool. Hailey, I'll pass it to you.
I agree with Alan. Like I come into the episode just like last week and this week, and you know, my comic knowledge is itty bitty, and then I leave and like have notes on my phone of like, okay, I need to go read this. I need to go read that. And I'm just like, I come out feeling like an expert. Like I can go to my boyfriend and be like, did you know all of these things about this show that we're watching? And he's like, wow, you know so much. And I'm like, it's all thanks to you guys. But no, I love chatting with you guys, and JR, I'm super happy that you got to join us today. And
thank you.
Everyone, if you have not, go watch the assembled episodes because they're so freaking good. But I'm glad that I got to be here and chat with you all today.
Sweet. Absolutely. Jason, I'll pass it to you.
I don't know if you saw it before, but 2 thumbs up for both the show and this show, Hawkeye and this show. And if you use it down, regardless, I'm gonna make you, just because we live so close, I'm gonna definitely make you watch Spider-Man 3 regardless.
It's happening. It's gonna happen.
I love that movie, man. That's my childhood, and even the cringy parts that you don't know of because you never watched it. I love that. I'll eat it up. So
I thought I like bad movies.
No, but like I can acknowledge it's a bad movie though in its own right. I'm not saying it's. I'm not saying.
Oh no, I didn't think you were, Jason.
Nah, but that's my closing thought. I wanna continue this with that movie.
Definitely, it is definitely next up on the list for sure as we get into the new year here.
Oh, and I appreciate JR, coming in to take my spot, fill the spot since I was being a good Samaritan and he was dropping.
Good job, man. Good job.
To be honest, Jason, I was begging because, just let me come in for the Kingpin part. I don't need to do the rest of it. Just let me come in for the Kingpin part.
For the record,
you guys don't understand. I'm a huge Kingpin fan. Like, if I cosplay ever, it'll be Kingpin. I've got his first appearance. I've got his second appearance.
It's your logo too.
It's
my logo. Also, Tim Stacy, a friend of our show, artist of the show, also drew me as Kingpin.
That's awesome.
I've got stickers made of it, everything. We're going to have shirts coming out soon and everything.
Nice.
I've just always... Kingpin's one of those characters to me. He's not going to beat Doctor Doom. He's not the overpowered guy. But he always thought was his head before his fist. But he also can get really frustrated and fight with his fists. And it just I always related to that.
He's even scarier than a Doctor Doom because a Kingpin person can be here in real life.
Yeah,
like there's like a million, there's like 20 of those currently in the world. You know what I mean? Like it's like a real life thing.
And I just love D'Onofrio's play of him. Nothing against Michael Clark Duncan, but it was just a different take on him, and I don't think they did a very well job writing the character. But other than that, thank you for having me. I guess I would love to come back anytime. I mean, you know where to find me, Justin.
Yes, sir.
Thankfully, I didn't cuss.
No, you were good. I think you dropped one B word. That was it.
Yeah, I might have.
Right.
Dropped a couple.
Well, no. On my other show, I always introduce myself as a certain word and stuff. So.
Oh yeah. Sure
That's my moniker.
Yeah, you've been very good tonight, Jay. I was surprised, especially when I put Loki fourth. I thought for sure we were going to get a couple curse words.
We're gonna talk at Trificon.
We're gonna have words.
We're gonna have long talk.
Oh, that means you're coming here. That's awesome. Yes, I can't wait.
I'm trying.
That'll be great.
The problem is Trificon's a week after Comic-Con,
which is perfect. It means it's not the same week. That works for you. You just take off 2 weeks.
Depends on how my boss is.
It just don't work for 2 weeks.
Depends on how my boss takes it. Can he leave? Can he not have me around for 2 weeks? My fellow staff probably, get rid of him for 2 weeks. My boss may not.
All right. Well, let me know what letter you need me to write or type up and to who. Then you let me know. I'll type up that letter for you.
I might be bringing Steve too.
Oh, wait. You didn't say that. Hold on. Let's talk about this again. That'd be awesome. That'd be really cool. So to you, JR, thank you for jumping on here with us and, being part of this discussion and for all of you to be, again, just back part of this. Always have a lot of fun as this is our second time doing this, just kind of free flow type of discussion that I usually don't do on my channel. So I really enjoy these. And to what Hailey, you were saying, same here, learning so much when I go into this or, coming out of this and definitely having a list of things to read. And I mean, Jason's always giving me a list of things to read to begin with. So it's really just that added on to that. So
Jason, stop giving me Lemire books.
We'll get there though, Jason.
It's not Lemire.
We're going to get there though. See, that's the thing. I'm busy reading Lemire, JR.
Get past that. Go to the good stuff. Go to Alan Moore's Swamp Thing.
You see, I don't understand.
Speaking of Swamp Thing and Lemire, didn't that book drop today?
Today,
Lemire Swamp Thing book.
Yep, but JR won't read it.
I won't read anything Lemire.
He'll skip out. So again, everybody watching, we got 11 people. Thank you all for hanging out with us, tuning in, throwing up your answers and things like that. That was fun and cool to kind of see some of the answers that some of you had listed out. And anybody watching the replay, feel free to throw it in the comment section. Again, if you're not following these four, make sure you do so. All their information's in the description except JR's, which I'll leave it like that now. But no, I can't do that because it affects the rest of the group. So
I was gonna say you're gonna be on my show or Team Nerd in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah, when's that again?
Remember, vengeance is a best served cold, and I am the kingpin.
That's true. You can start by having me wait backstage. I think that's fair. All right. Yeah. Other than that, it's the end of the year. So happy New Year to everybody. Hope you all are safe and enjoying the holiday season. And hopefully you watch Hawkeye again, because you should, because it's awesome. And anyone that's watching the replay again, thanks for taking that time. Smash the like button on your way out. And we're gonna wrap up here. So happy holidays, happy New Year, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.